bad. But, all right. So for the Deus Ex, I kind of had it. I broke my review up to different things, like the good, the bad, what I'm rating it, and I'm rating basically the main parts of the game, which was the combat, the stealth, the upgrade system, and the story.
I just thought a bunch of random notes.
Do you guys want to talk story and then talk about the combat itself? Because combat and stealth are kind of like the same topic, right? Like when you're in combat, you're stealthing, right? I have it set separate because I feel like stealth had such a big like enhancement on it. Like it was like it was.
No, I agree. They're like similar but different.
Okay. I guess if you guys want, we could probably talk halfway through the story, talk about the combat and the stealth, and then finish off the story.
Pog.
All right.
We did it.
Oh my god, perfect timing.
Oh, yeah,
he took that 6:30 seriously.
Yeah, y'all worried for nothing. Jeez.
All right.
Never late.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. You want to go by mission, or how do you want to do that?
Yeah, so I pretty much did area by area because I felt like there were so many missions inside the areas that it's just
true.
Yeah. I so sense. Yeah. I honestly didn't complete all the missions in the areas. I definitely like didn't realize that.
Pretty sure I did actually. Surprisingly,
I missed a single one, unfortunately.
I'm pretty sure I did all of
them. Okay, so I guess we could talk about the ones that I missed because I did do some of them that I thought were interesting, but they were like literally some that I knew it was a fucking side quest. I was like, nah, bro, I ain't doing this bullshit. Get me out.
I did definitely look up if they had praxis kits tied to them or not.
Yeah, that's funny. I did not do that.
All right, so the game opens up with a tutorial and it's set, and I can't remember what fucking year. It's like 2040 or some shit.
I thought it was like next year.
Is it actually?
I'm pretty sure it's more recent. Yeah.
2027, I want to say.
Yeah.
And Adam Jensen is the fucking main.
Yep, 2027. Correct.
He's like the main security guard. Like he's the main. He's like the head of security. Yeah. At a biotech company that invests in and makes like augmentations for people. So like cyberpunk shit. And right before you, or I should say, to get the main kicker of the whole story is that a bunch of cybernetic people come and they kidnap your girlfriend because she is about to go to Congress.
Hey, ex-girlfriend.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah, ex.
You can't even fucking win there. Kidnap her because she has to go to Congress to basically give out like this big research and this big a presentation about like why cybernetics should be illegal and shit. So they're blowing shit up, and then that's kind of when the tutorial hit. I honestly thought I liked the tutorial. I thought it was a good intro to the mechanics of the game. Like, you know, I thought it was very intuitive how it walked you through and kind of kept you engaged. Like it showed you all the bosses that you were going to fight later in the game, so it was kind of like a good little foreshadowing kind of thing. So I really had no problems about the tutorial.
The only problem I have with the tutorial is that in order to get the pacifist achievement, you can't kill anybody in the tutorial.
Yeah.
So that is annoying. Otherwise, yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It was a good
I thought it was a little too railroady.
That's fair. It was very railroady, but you know, it's a tutorial, so I guess that's at least a little bit to be expected.
So when you say like railroady, like what do you mean? Just like
it just felt like super like on rails, like just carrying you through the tutorial.
Yeah.
Yep.
I get that.
Especially considering the rest of the game.
Yeah, and to me it didn't do like all of the tutorial stuff, because you know, like later on, I think you don't learn how to hack until like you're in Detroit and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And like there's no vents.
No, you learn how to hack in the tutorial.
Okay.
Yeah,
there's no like vents or anything, which I feel like are pretty important part of the overworld.
There's also vents.
Well, it didn't.
This is coming from someone who played the tutorial a week ago. Yeah.
It didn't tell you about it then. Or tell me about it. Also, I feel like you do have the opportunity to miss tutorial prompts in the game in general.
Yes, that is true. I mean, they definitely tell you like if you want to go into in-depth tutorial like combat stuff, but I did some of them and they were not entirely helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, my big
But,
complaint was that they really should have let you know about the pacifist achievement before, because like I looked it up and it's not a hidden achievement. So I was trying to do the pacifist my first run through, but then I was like deep into Act 1, and I just could not give a shit at that point. I was just like, I don't want to restart the fucking game.
Yeah, thankfully I found that out early. I did.
Did you get the achievement?
I did.
Oh, nice.
Damn.
I'm interested to see how the boss fights went when we get there.
Oh, you can use guns for those.
Oh.
Yeah,
yeah, it's like excluding bosses.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and then so out of the tutorial, I should say the tutorial ends with you basically getting super cybernetics. It's kind of strange because it's like you get fucked up, but they basically end up just replacing your whole fucking body. which is kind of crazy. Like I didn't think that there was like that much need. Like you get like punched through the chest, right? But then they take your arms and they take your legs and do everything. They basically take your eyes too. So
my assumption is that
fire too, right?
Yeah, exactly. The fire likely did a number. That's my assumption.
Fair enough. And then so the first real, I guess I would still consider this kind of tutorial, is because you get to do your first mission after you go to Detroit, and you're tasked to find the body. I'm skipping ahead. You're tasked to go save some hostages that the human rights group or whatever wants to fucking
the puritists or something like that.
Yeah, which is really fucking weird that they would capture just normal human beings and fucking like try to.
Well, it was one of the factories of the company you worked for.
Oh, okay.
Correct. Yep.
So it's still Seraph Industries kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're supposed to go through
Purity
that.
First.
Purity First is the. Oh, that's the terrorist group.
Yeah.
Okay.
The activist group, whatever.
So you're supposed to. You go through kind of like that mission, and I really feel like that is actually the first real tutorial. Like like in Seraph Industries, when you're getting attacked, is like, hey, this is how you walk forward. But this was like, hey, this is like, kind of like a sandbox that you can kind of roam around in and figure out what you want to do and how you like to play.
Yep.
I felt like the initial tutorial was more like a story that you happen to be able to play, like almost like a, what do they call it?
Like a playable cutscene kind of thing.
Yeah, and like I think it needed to happen story-wise, but I almost wish that like that wasn't the first experience that you have with the game. It's just like controlling yourself before you get anything.
Yeah, I agree.
It really served as like the hook, like, oh, they took your ex-girlfriend kind of thing, like, go save her, this is what the whole game's going to be about. Or like, it's like the driving force, which yeah.
And the actual
and I feel like if the hook does not work, it does not work for you.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I think halfway through this mission, well, let me back up. So like when you're in the helicopter going over to the first mission, you get to choose your type of playstyle. So you can go loud and lethal, silent and lethal, sniper and quiet, or like long range and quiet and close and quiet. What did you guys end up picking?
Non-lethal range at first, and then I realized how few fucking tranquilizer darts there are in the entire map. And then when I redid it, because I found out about the whole tutorial counting towards the pacifist thing, I went and did the stun gun, so non-lethal and close.
Yeah.
And it was so much better.
Yeah. I went with.
I did.
What'd you do?
I think whatever gave you the revolver.
It's probably loud and lethal, I think. Because I think silent and lethal is the silenced pistol. I think they just give that to you.
Do they give it to you? I don't know. We can probably look it up real quick.
I ended up with the silent sniper rifle, which I agree with Kyle was a fucking huge bait. Like, it looks cool, and it's kind of it's hard to find later on, I think. But like,
Oh yeah, the silent sniper. You don't find that thing until way later.
Yeah, but it's definitely not what I think the game should have given you if you wanted to go that route, or they should have made something else.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the tranquilizer rifle because of just the lack of ammo anywhere on the map for it. Yeah. So I can imagine the silent sniper would have the same issue.
Oh no, I'm talking about
the options. The options were
you're talking about
revolver.
Okay.
The options were revolver, assault rifle, stun gun, and tranquilizer rifle.
Oh, really? So you didn't get the Sans pistol?
I have a quick question that like kind of pertains to the game. Who nominated this game? I can't remember.
Me.
It was Kyle.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That makes sense, actually.
So I think halfway through the mission, you get the hostages, and
or do you?
Yeah, or do you? My hostages fucking died.
Yeah, true.
I
saved them.
I got baited. I was literally
baited.
Okay, so I got baited because when you get into the Seraph headquarters, they recommend that you go to your offices, and so I'm like checking through that, and there's that whole kind of side quest of like someone that's stealing the neuroperazine or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And it basically like it doesn't give you a quest marker, so I was just like, oh, this must be how side quests are done. They must just be like logs and stuff that you have to go into your book to read, like kind of how like RuneScape does it, right? So I was in the midst of like doing that quest line, and then I just get a phone call because it's been like 10 or 15 minutes in game while I'm trying to figure this out, that all the fucking hostages died. Like they just killed all the hostages because I was too late. And I was just like, why would you? And it's a bait because you can't even progress the quest until you come back from that mission. So unlucky. But yeah, all my hostages died. Unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky because I was just like exploring, and I ended up finding the vent that leads into the hostage room.
Oh yeah.
And then obviously once that starts, the timer begins, or I think the timer begins after you look at the computer, something like that. Regardless, the timer starts, and I'm sitting there doing the hacking, right? And I get the hack and am able to save them as soon as like a millisecond before the timer hit 0 and the dispenser was supposed to go off. I barely saved the hostages by the skin of my teeth. That was actually a pretty cool scene. Very interesting.
When they're dead, you just walk into a bunch of fucking dead people in chairs. It's kind of funny. they're just fucking.
Yeah, no, I was able to save them, thankfully.
And so Chandler and Alex, did you guys save them or did they die?
Chandler don't even remember.
Pause, Chandler.
Alex is muted.
Damn. I thought it was the same way, like where it kind of felt unfair to where if you're trying to progress this other quest, you basically have to let them die, and like you don't even really know it until it happens.
Yeah. So your hostages died too, or?
Yeah.
I'm confused on what you guys are talking about because I did the neuroperazine quest and also saved the hostages.
You can do the neuroperazine side quest. You can start it before the hostage quest.
Okay.
And it honestly it ends up, I don't know, I was just kind of like exploring, and I was like taking my time with it. Yeah. And like I was like actively reading like the emails and the computer logs and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out what was going on because it gave you like a lot of information. So as I was kind of doing that, it really ends up being more than 15 minutes because you're having to hack into different offices and you have to find out where those keys are. And at this point, you don't have any hack stuff, right? So
yeah, maybe there's like a part of the neuroperazine quest that you can get done before, because I did that quest after the manufacturing plant, and once we got back to Detroit, there was a guy waiting for me in the office, and I talked to him, and then I did that quest then.
Okay, yeah, so you did it after the hostages. Before you can basically find them. You can get all the way to the point where you find the stash. The stash ends up being like a little cellar underneath Seraph Industries that you can climb into, but it doesn't reward you or do you anything. It's just kind of like, oh, cool, I found it, but then you can't actually finish the quest.
Interesting.
Hence why I said I got fucking hella baited.
Well, rip the hostages for you guys. I guess.
Yeah, they died. So then after the hostages, you meet like a hacker man, a super hacker man, who ends up killing himself. And it's kind of just like a little hook, I guess. So you kind of investigate what's going on with that, and then right after the hacker, you meet what is that guy's name?
Zeke Sanders.
Yep, Zeke Sanders.
I actually think the hacker thing was a very interesting hook, considering Purity First was supposed to be like, it gave that mystery because it's like Purity First is supposed to be no cybernetics, yet there's this guy with cybernetics hacking into the computers, and then he kills himself, and he clearly didn't want to. So it's like, okay, what the hell's going on here?
Good foreshadowing, by the way.
Yep.
Actually, wow, I can't believe I'm complimenting the story.
You didn't like the story? I did.
I have my issues with it.
I will say when I was looking around for like a story synopsis, everyone was like, "This story fucking sucked."
Really?
Yes.
There's just one aspect of like basically the big bad that I'm like, that's what you went with?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, but we'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So when you talk to Zeke, there's a skill check. Like you can persuade him to let the hostage go and free him instead. Which is what I did. I ended up freeing the one single hostage that he had, and I let him escape. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same, and I found out because I had like gone through the manufacturing plant, and then that's when I reset afterwards. I realized that the prompts to get someone to like agree with you and whatnot, and like go do whatever you want to do, is different depending on the playthrough or like the load save or anything. Yeah, because I said certain things to Zeke the first time that got him to free her the first time, and then I said things the second time, and he almost killed her for me, but I was able to free her barely. But yeah, his reactions were different, which I thought was very interesting.
Wait, so it's just RNG?
No, not necessarily. I think you have to go based off of like his body language and whatnot. Because there's a cybernetic upgrade that like lets you know when or how their like heart rate increases and like what their eyes are doing and stuff like that. That makes it easier for these kind of prompts.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was very interesting.
He definitely just fucking killed that bitch for me. I exhausted every dialogue option, and he was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna walk out and then die."
Just missing every social cue.
Yeah. My autistic character was like, "What if I talk to him as much as possible?"
Yes, the angry guy with the gun.
And so after you get that, or after you finish that, then you're pretty much officially done with the tutorial, and you get to go to the main. I wouldn't say it's necessarily open world, but it's definitely like the main level, right? Which is Detroit Part 1.
Oh.
And so the whole drive of Detroit Part 1 is that the hacker guy who killed himself, you need to go find his body in the police station, and eventually what happens is I can't remember if you take his chip and they read it or something like that.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and they find like a big, basically like terrorist plant underneath Detroit like this whole time that's been like training like terrorists and shit. So going into Detroit, there's a couple of side quests. I think there's one like investigating like a girl's death or something like that. But what did you guys end up thinking of like this whole part?
It was cool. It was interesting. Thought it was I feel like it was much more interesting when you first walked out and you saw everything, and like you got stopped by that lady, his Megan's mom, asking for something from Megan, and then you go and find the like bracelet or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought all of that was really cool, and it like kind of was a good hook. I did feel like when we go back the second time, I actually was less interested, despite the fact that things were different.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, I mean, overall it was fine, but I did feel like we were in that area or I was in there for a while.
I think Detroit Part 1 and China Part 1 are the longest segments of the game. I think between those two, so just I guess going over where it's Detroit Part 1, China Part 1, Montreal, Detroit Part 2, China Part 2, DLC, Singapore, and then Panchaea. And Montreal through Panchaea was probably, to me, felt the same amount of time as Detroit Part 1 and China Part 1. Like it
That's fair.
Yeah, I think for me, Detroit and China was 5 hours each, and then everything else was 14 hours total.
Yeah, I thought so it was cool at first, but then because we were there for so long, I was kind of getting over it for a while. That was until we went to the other areas in Detroit, and then it was interesting.
Yeah, I think just from because I agree with you. I think from like a map perspective, not having unlimited sprint and having your sprint be so short was definitely not helping. Like it at all. Like I completely agree. That was
there was a lot of backtracking where I wish I could fast travel or something. That was a big gripe for sure.
Yep. That was.
Yeah, I mean, some of the quests in that area were interesting. Like the cop that was the dirty cop, basically, where you had to figure out if you're going to just accept the money or turn them in and whatnot. So I thought that was cool. And then I also liked how you had to find the evidence and everything, and stop him from planting it on the ballers to start a gang war and whatnot. I thought all of that was really cool. That was a cool quest.
I don't think I did that quest.
It was you had to talk to one of the prostitutes that was going undercover.
Yeah, I totally didn't do that actually.
Yeah, it was a really cool quest. Yeah, you basically just you pose as a hitman, and you get you stop him from basically starting a gang war by framing a murder on one of them.
You know, it's interesting because I didn't do that, and there really wasn't a gang war result because I never did it.
Yeah. That's just that was the ultimate plan. Who knows if they actually wanted to make that be a thing, and with the whole coming back to Detroit afterwards, maybe that prevented what might have actually been the gang war. But yeah.
Side note.
Yeah.
I think there's a few different areas that they wanted to do and didn't.
I could see that.
Like I remember reading about they wanted a whole like mission area of Upper China. Like free roam Upper China.
That would have been pretty cool. Yeah. I got an achievement for convincing the cop at the front desk that basically that his position wasn't his fucking fault.
Yep.
And then I got the which I guess if we're gonna talk about the police station, I wrote down in my notes that I liked the police building because I thought it was a good way to show stealth in a low stakes area because the routes were very simple. The way that you can navigate the building is very simple. It's just like a fucking square, right? Square with like hallways. So you know exactly what to expect. And there wasn't really too much like guards or anything like that was going to cause problems. So I actually really liked it.
Yep. No, I agree. I thought it was a good area as well. Like you said, in a low stakes area or in a low stakes situation. Alternatively, though, you can, if things go wrong, and you have to sneak in and aren't able to convince dude at the front desk to let you in, it could be definitely a lot more high stakes. But thankfully, we didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah,
or us two didn't.
Yeah,
I convinced him.
Yeah, it was pretty. And that's kind of what I liked. Yeah, it wasn't too bad at all.
I don't even think I save scummed it.
You save scummed it?
I said I don't think I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a good section though overall. It was chill.
And then let me see. And then so we go into the abandoned factory of FEMA, which ends up being like pretty much like a dungeon, right?
Don't we have to go through the ballers section before that? Like we have to go through their area or no?
I thought the ballers was part 2.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it is leading up to part 2.
Yeah, because because the ballers areas, because after you go to China part 1, the dude tells you that there is a frequency jammer or some shit like that. And then you go back to Detroit.
FEMA, then?
FEMA is, I can't remember how you get there, but it's like the fucking underground place of Detroit part 1. Like you.
Yeah, I remember that, but I'm trying to remember how you got there.
I just remember taking like a fucking long ass elevator. Like it was a very long elevator. But
I thought that was later. I thought you go to FEMA and then you go immediately to China.
no, because you find the abandoned. It says you go to an abandoned factory that is a secret camp run by FEMA. This is where you fight your first boss. And that being the fucking super American guy or whatever.
Okay, yeah, no. So I'm looking at the wiki. The transmission is definitely before that. So you do go through the baller section.
Okay,
and
I
then,
thought that was after.
Yeah. No, that was before.
So you. Oh wow, that's crazy. I didn't even write that down.
Yeah. So you like go through the baller section and like sneak or not. That map section, by the way, is really great for stealth. That's a thing. I'm sure a theme with this game. Whenever we get there, is that the stealth is great.
Oh really?
I think the stealth is great, and the availability of pathways is great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny because I'm gonna make some comparisons to later in this game to Metal Gear Solid. Whenever we do talk about that part, I guess we could talk about combat and stealth after China Part 1 because that's kind of
the halfway point. Right?
Yeah, so I had totally forgot about that. Unless the secret camp was the baller thing, I don't know.
No, so you go there for the transmission, and then you end up going from the transmission to Highland Park, which is where you go to what's it called? The thing.
The FEMA place.
The FEMA, yep.
I don't really remember a lot about the FEMA, and I think that's maybe like one of my like little cons is that some of the areas, especially the indoor areas, just kind of like blended together a lot. Like aesthetic wise, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really remember much about it. I think I was still doing non-lethal at this point because I didn't realize that I could kill people because I had already did. So I don't really remember having any comments on this if you guys wanted to talk about it.
I thought the elevator ride down into seeing everybody and like all the mercenaries and the robots and shit was really cool.
Yeah, I like that too.
It was very intimidating, and then the robots themselves were definitely very intimidating. So I had to sneak by everybody and try not to set anything off because I knew I was doomed because I had non-lethal weapons. I was not going to be able to take down one of those big robots.
I do remember
it was very stressful.
I do remember that it was like you basically go to the very bottom or some shit like that, and then you like go up floor by floor by floor, right? And basically
something like that.
Each floor that you go up is like harder, like because you do encounter the two robots, right?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, and that was like
they're
the
on
last
the ground,
floor.
But
Okay,
but there's what'd you say, Chandler?
I said robots easy.
Eventually, once I figured out about EMP grenades, but I ain't have them.
I already had them by then.
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I just never picked them
He's
up.
smurfing.
I thought nothing about it.
So I had those. I just hadn't used them, and I didn't realize it was basically just like an easy non-lethal kill.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only problem though is if those robots self-destruct and a person's nearby, it counts towards as a kill, I believe. So
that's stupid.
How did you find that out?
I like was looking some stuff up about it, and I saw that because something with non-lethal kills with the darts, especially, is that you can shoot people with the darts, and they'll still sometimes die. They'll say dead, but it doesn't count as a kill because it says it gives you like the points for non-lethal takedown.
There's some the Batman logic right there.
No, literally, right? Yeah. Because I remember I saw that one of the ballers I shot with one of the trank darts was dead, and I was like, excuse me? I didn't want to reset everything, so I did a bunch of research and Googling. Yep.
Okay, and then what? And then so after you get through that, you get to fight the first boss, which I can't really remember his name. Does anyone know
Barrett.
his name? Barrett.
Yeah, because it was a Final Fantasy VII reference.
Ah, so how'd you guys like that boss fight?
Or
Sorry, I had to
I
get
don't know
up.
if his
What'd you
name was
say?
Barrett, but he had a gun arm like Barrett.
Yeah,
Hold on.
the first boss fight, the minigun guy that threw
Oh,
grenades.
that fucker. Yeah. Did I have anything? No, that guy was easy as shit because the
Yeah,
stun,
no, his name's Barrett.
the stun gun, you just like it would stun him forever,
Oh,
and you would
really?
just beat the shit out of him, and then yeah, you just kept perma stunning him basically.
That's
It was
fine.
super easy.
That's actually really funny. Because
Yeah, stun him with the stun gun, shoot him with the rockets, and then repeat.
I think I had issues on this boss fight. I think I had to reload 2 or 3 times, and until I realized that you could just cheese it. Like I think I had at this point I was like upgrading some guns, and I literally just fucking blasted him in the face like 4 or 5 times. And because like the very first time I tried to fight him, there's like, you could go into like the upper rooms that like were on both sides of the arena, and you could like
actually.
yeah
I just killed him instantly.
there was like supplies that you could get there. What's up?
Can I ask at this point, what were y'all's praxis upgrades looking like?
At which point?
That's a good question.
At Barrett's fight.
I think it was a bunch of hacking
Definitely.
stuff.
Yeah.
No, I had definitely like the first one I got was breaking walls and inventory space.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull up the praxis.
I think I didn't have breaking walls until I was at the point where I had too many praxis kits and just needed to start buying stuff.
Same.
That and like moving heavy objects were the first things I got.
Yeah,
I did get that pretty early, yeah.
Because there was an issue I had in Detroit where like you could go through the sewers, but then you couldn't fucking move the dumpsters that were at the end of the manholes.
Yep.
Yeah,
another one that I got was the further jump one, because I found like a route to get into the baller section, but you needed to have a far jump. So I upgraded the jumping early on too.
I think mine was like the see-through vision, so you could see through walls. And then hacking, moving heavy objects. I think I got like hacking 2 or 3. Moving heavy objects, and that's.
I think I got see-through in China, part 1. No, definitely did. Yeah. Here's a link for the screen, if that helps you remember. I know I got no fall damage. Pretty sure I had that in Detroit 1.
In Detroit 1.
Yeah.
I can't, like I said, I can't really remember, but I think that just ended up being like, at this point I don't think there was like many like
I think
upgrades
you get
that you
5
could do.
kits, 4 or 5 kits.
What are you talking about?
Talking about what upgrades we had.
Oh yeah.
In Detroit 1. I think you get 5 kits or something like that in Detroit 1, and then 1 for each time you leveled.
Yeah, you get 1 kit every time you level for sure. And I think that I think you could buy one. I think you're told to buy one actually.
Yeah, you are.
And then I think you can find one. So probably at this point, like maybe like 7-ish.
Something like that.
But yeah, I
definitely didn't have stealth.
No, I didn't have stealth, which is kind of crazy.
Was a bait, yeah, or it was a bait on my part, not getting it earlier.
Yeah.
That is what I immediately started specking into when I started playing, but I was just curious if that was like.
It's busted.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, no, I tried to spec into that early. Tried to.
Yeah, and
tried to.
Like I said,
I would get distracted by other things, you know.
I don't think the first boss fight was bad. I actually like kind of liked it, and so after you kill him, he's like, he tries to fucking like blow himself up with you in it.
Martyrdom.
Yeah. But what does he basically say? He basically says like, this shit goes way farther than you ever want to know, boy. And then he's like,
basically,
here's a fucking credit card or some shit like that that's gonna lead you to the place where you need to go. And I was like, why the fuck is this guy giving me a fucking info card? It was an info card, like the ones that you read, to tell me what to do next. I'm like, that's like,
Guessing he thought he would actually kill you with his self-destruction martyrdom nonsense that he was doing.
too bad I'm Adam Jensen.
I didn't ask for this.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, super Batman vibes from MC.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. So are you guys cool with the Detroit Part 1?
Yup.
Probably the longest.
It was aight.
Yeah, I thought
Pretty
it was okay.
I guess.
Like I said, I think there's too much running and backtracking. And it's not
Yes.
too much running, but the running fucking sucked because
Yes.
there should have been infinite out of combat stamina. And that
Yeah,
would have
for sure.
saved a lot.
I cannot believe that they give you this fucking superhuman cyborg with limited run stamina. It's
I know,
so
right,
fucking
dude?
stupid.
It's
Nah,
even
yeah,
worse that
that's
when
a big
you
gripe.
when you upgrade into it, it like doesn't actually add all that much.
Yeah.
Yep.
It sounds like what?
So this is the best we can do? This is fully upgraded?
My
Like-
guess is that it likely has to do with the fact that the game is old and it adds essentially more time for the game to load and
Oh, sure. yeah.
everything. I'm guessing it's hardware limitation issues.
I do like how there were not a lot of loading screens in this game. Like there were only loading screens if you were like going into buildings where it had to load. But for the most part, yeah, open world was nice that it didn't have any of that.
Yeah, that was my assumption as to at least partially why there was the run issue.
Yeah. Well, I guess I shouldn't count my because once we get to the DLC, the fucking loading screens there were fucking
Hate it.
awful.
Mm-hmm.
The quote unquote loading screen.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Oh, yep. No, I remember. Yeah, no, I agree. Anyway.
So next is China, and I really it's called Hengsha.
Hengsha, yep.
I really liked China. I actually really liked China Part 1. So the whole idea is that you're tracking down this super hacker man that goes by the name of Van Bruggen or something like that.
Yep, Van Bruggen, correct.
Yeah, who was on payroll and was in leagues with the people who like attacked Seraph. So
Bell
he was
Tower,
there.
I believe, right?
Yeah. He was like a bell tower hacker. And so there's a bunch of stuff that goes on here, or like a lot of like quests. But I like the verticality of this map a lot more.
Yes,
I like the density of it. It still had the same problem I felt like of Detroit, where there's not enough run speed for what I want to do.
That one definitely convinced me to get the higher jump.
Yeah, so the thing that I liked a lot about Hengsha, which kind of sort of combats the whole lack of running speed thing, is the fact that you can jump off of high places and get down somewhere quickly, and then that saves quite a bit of time, and it kind of kills, like it makes the whole slow running thing a bit of less of an issue.
Yeah, I totally did not spec into the Icarus Fall thing, and I really wish I did have at that point. I didn't do it until China Part 2, so I was basically
Damn.
Damn.
Dude, you take so much damage from falling. I had to get that immediately.
I know. The falling was actually fucking ridiculous. But once again, here I am, super cyborg, man. You'd think that they'd have like shock absorbers in my damn Ds. Like I got the human version of shock absorbers.
Bro, you weigh like a gajillion pounds, man.
Yeah.
All that metal hitting the ground is gonna hurt.
So what did you guys think about the? I'm trying to think about what the quests were. There's the prostitutes that you could help, and there was the student that you could help, the fucking day trader.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the quests. Hold on.
Yeah. I'm
Hengsha, China. There we go. Part 1, main missions. No, we're looking for the side missions. Rotten Business, Shanghai Justice, and Bar Tab. So Rotten Business is the prostitute one. Shanghai Justice is the one where you help Malik with her thing with her friend.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Bar Tab is the where you help basically expose, or no, yeah, you help the barman with the girl that took out too much money.
Yeah, like he was on Yeah, he was like
they
not.
paid for her mod
Yeah,
for her augment.
yeah,
Yep, and was trying to extort her for a bunch of money back.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
I thought the prostitute one was really interesting. Shanghai Justice, I don't even really remember all that much. I remember doing it and helping Malik. Oh, I do remember. No, yeah, Shanghai Justice was good because that's the one where you find out dude's a piece of shit,
Mhm.
and you is that the one? Hold on, one sec. Let me check this real quick. Yes, okay, that's the one where you find out dude's a giant piece of shit and killed his girl, but because he is like in a wealthy family, they made it all go away essentially. So you basically get him to admit that he did it, and you Malik will post him admitting to killing her on all the screens outside of the hive. So everybody in the city or everybody in the area knows that he killed her. Good mission. Nobody else do it?
Uh,
Hello?
I did. I think
Question?
I saw Sean's mic like blinking and out, so I didn't know what would happen if he said
Okay.
anything.
Can
I thought that it was a good, I guess, like it had enough variety, and there were like a good number of missions in China or like side missions in China to where as soon as I did the last one, I was like, all right, ready to move on. And like the pacing was really good. I thought there were a good number in
Yep.
the first time.
Yeah, no,
I
I
hated
agree.
walking back and forth though
Oh
between
That's
the
my
two
fair.
god.
areas.
That's fair. The walking back between the two areas was a little bit annoying. I will
Yeah,
agree.
I mean, if they could have just made it like either one area like smaller or just one area that was contiguous where you didn't have to walk through them, that would have made it so much better.
Yep,
But even then, it was still a lot of walking.
I agree. Yeah, that was definitely an issue. I do think that the areas themselves were interesting and well created. I also thought the club was cool. Not that there was a ton of stuff to do in there, but I still thought the club was cool. Um,
Oh, the whole area, I don't know if you said it yet, is a whole the whole like lower China, upper China is a whole what's the word I'm looking for? Final Fantasy VII reference, including the bar.
oh, really interesting. I didn't
Hmm.
know that. I guess that makes sense considering there was a lot of Final Fantasy little nods here and there. Let's see. Sean said he's going to be AFK for a second. So, yeah, so you do the main quests, which is hunting the hacker, gain access to Tai Young Medical, and searching for proof and enter the dragon's lair. So, I know. So, hunting the hacker is when you find Van Bruggen in the pods. I thought the whole pods area was really cool. I thought it was really interesting. Um, I was very confused as to why you couldn't get to one section, and then we eventually find out. But yeah, I thought Van Bruggen was really, or I thought Van Bruggen himself was really interesting, very interesting character.
Hmm.
And then let's see, you not find out about him until the second? Yeah, okay. But yeah, so after you get in contact with him, he gives you the medical card to get to the Tai Young Medical Facility, which, if I'm remembering correctly,
I think you have to get a passport from somebody.
yeah, from Van Bruggen.
Yeah, and you have to do that mission to where you have to you steal the passport thing from one of the workers, and then he assigns your digital signature
Yep.
like of you to be able to pass through it.
Yep. Oh, that's right. So the ambush does happen when you come back to him. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the ambush section was really cool. I liked it. It was hard as fuck.
Yeah, what if
Non-lethal, but it was really cool.
was This part, this was I'm trying to figure out. You didn't fight a boss here, did you?
No, not yet.
But you meet
I
with
think it's the first time you see the like heavy gunner
Yes.
enemies.
yeah. This is where you meet the leader of Taeyong Medical though, right?
That's later after you go through Taeyong Medical, the whole tower. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's like the whole. So it's a whole stealth section that leads up into, up to meet her, right? And then she basically is like tricked you.
Well, yeah, but we're still on the garden pods ambush. Remember, after you get the passport from Van Bruggen, you get ambushed in the pods.
Okay, yeah. Did you guys give him a gun?
So I didn't have a gun because I was non-lethal,
Same.
and he
Oh,
wouldn't
funny.
take a stun gun or a trank gun. So,
I gave him a machine pistol because those things are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
True. Did you guys give them a gun? All three of you?
I think I didn't give him a gun though.
Okay. Alex, did you?
No, I was also non-lethal, so I didn't have any options.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Come to
think-
find out later,
Yeah.
not giving him a gun makes him die,
Yeah.
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 which I thought was very funny. Even though
I
not
don't
giving
remember
me,
what him living does for me.
I don't think it does a whole lot. You just get like an email afterwards.
Yeah,
I think
I
he
would
gets some money. Oh, I think he gives you money or something.
Yeah, you get
okay.
10K. He'll give you 10K credits if you give him a gun.
Listen, man, I wanted to save him, but he didn't want my non-lethal guns. That's on him.
Yeah, I think at this point I had invested in the cloaking augment, and dude, honestly, I can't believe just how broken it is.
Yeah, I
honestly
didn't do
so
that
good.
until a bit later, and I regret it.
It's literally like even if they can hear you, it doesn't matter because they can't see you.
Yep.
They'll just be alerted that you're like close by or something like that. But like you just run right past them. Like
Yep.
what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
I remember from my first time I played this how easy it made the game, so I specifically put it off as long as I could.
Smart man. Smart man.
Yeah,
I only used and abused it in one part of the game, which we will get to later.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Like I said, it became so strong. Like at the next section when we go through the Taeyong Medical, headquarter building.
Yep.
But yeah, I liked that whole section too. At this point, like not that I ever like wasn't necessarily not enjoying the game, but at this point I was like still like having. I was like, oh okay, this is like we're still on the up and up kind of thing for how this game is playing out.
Yeah, I like that section quite a bit. It's good. Honestly, pretty much all of China was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too.
And then that leads us to Taeyong Medical.
Yep. And it's basically just like a bunch of stealth sections, right? Is this where the lasers are?
Yes,
Yeah.
there are lasers.
It's like a weird like laser field they have to navigate through at like near the very end. It's like the last thing you do.
Yes. I know what you're talking about. I believe that's that mission. The one where you have to like jump over boxes and whatnot.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. I believe that's that mission.
Yeah, okay. So I'm thinking of it. I thought this was okay. I mean, I liked how everyone was like non-lethal to you at this point, really. Like you couldn't step into like certain restricted areas.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. You
but-
actually get to walk around, yeah.
Yeah, I actually really like that because it kind of broke up the stealth segments, or I should say, it allows you to be stealthy without like, everyone trying to look for you and shoot you off the rip. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, I thought the whole section the whole Taeyong Medical Facility was really interesting, and like you said, I thought the area with the lasers, a lot of the lasers, and you had to dodge them and like go over boxes and whatnot. I thought that was really cool. I also thought it was interesting how you couldn't put like boxes in front of the lasers because it would set it off.
Yeah.
It would still set them off.
Yeah, that's funny.
I did, however, find out eventually that you can turn invisible and walk through them, and that won't set them off.
Oh, really? I didn't try that.
Yep, I found out
I
eventually.
assumed they wouldn't. That's funny.
Yeah, that was a cool area. I liked it.
So I at the very end, unless anyone wants to talk about the lead up until onto where? Wait, what do you? Is her name Zhao? That's what it is.
Zhao, yeah.
So does anyone want to talk about like the lead up into Zhao, or just want to go into like kind of like, I should say, any more comments on the area or?
Guess not.
So
All right.
I think I had more fun with the bell tower than her tower.
yeah. So I actually really liked the area leading up to Zhao. It was kind of like very, it was like white. It was like kind of like
Yeah, it was very fancy.
Yeah, it was almost like a very nice penthouse apartment kind of thing.
Yep. I think it was literally called the penthouse, so that would make sense.
But it was funny because like as I was like walking around, just kind of like looking at like the detail they put in it, I was able to find vents, and then like when I found the vents, I like walked through them, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Why does it put me up further up the way? And I was like, there has to be there's going to be something going on here. Like at some point, there's going to be enemies here, and I'm gonna have to use these vents to get past them.
Yep, a little bit of foreshadowing, right?
Yeah, which is good. Like I like it when games do that, because like you could find that at any point, but like being able to tell that earlier is nice, cause rewarding, or nice reward of exploration.
Yep. No, I agree. I did find the whole interaction with Zhao in general funny, because I didn't really believe her for a second.
I didn't either.
When she was pretending to be like, oh, they put me up to it. It's not me.
Yeah. She's like, I'm just so helpless.
I'm just a woman. I'm so helpless.
I thought that was a pretty big flaw, honestly. Like, bro, you didn't fall for that. What are you talking about?
Right.
You're like supposed to be this smart detective, and he just so easily gets fooled.
My guess is that he probably just like didn't want to escalate or like something like that. But yeah, bro got pushed, and immediately she closed the panic door, and it's like, really? What did you expect?
Yeah.
And then all the guards come in, but I knew where the vents were, so that shit was easy.
Yeah.
I actually did a pretty funny like way to get out of there.
Oh, really? What'd you do?
Stealthed to the vents, went down, and was able to stealth my way to the elevator. But then I was like, nah, I'm gonna kill him. So I while I was in the elevator, I alerted them, led them all in, and I had a couple of gas grenades, and I just gassed them all.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's funny.
Jesus.
I actually never used the gas grenades or the frag grenades. The only ones I used were the EMPs.
I think I used I think I only
I didn't use any concussive, but other than that, I used the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that section was pretty. I've heard that it's actually incredibly difficult to not get the non-alerted achievement. But I'm sure, being able to just stealth and run through the vents makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Not having stealth made that one actually pretty difficult for me.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah, especially when they like just occupy like right in front of the elevator, because there's really no good way to get past them. Or I couldn't find one, because there's like a vent that leads you like basically to their northwest, and you'd basically have to like, there's such little cover between the vent and the next part that it's like you're gonna get caught. It felt like
sometimes you can kind of hitman it. Like if you have a silenced weapon, especially, you can like shoot off in the distance, and it'll like make a move over there and check out.
I did that a lot.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did that a ton in this game. Tried to get them to go over one direction. That way you can actually get someone else, or like knock someone else out or something. Yeah, no, I did that a ton. That was very convenient in certain areas of the game.
Yeah, I just ended up, when I got to the very far vent, I just ended up turning on my stealth, like the invisible, and just running away, like running through it all, and then eating like a fucking cyber protein bar. I actually saved scum here because right when I got to that, like to the vent, I was like, I tried it like once and I couldn't make it all the way through without getting blasted. Like it would just drop. So I made the investment to upgrade into where you get like extra energy bars.
Hate that.
Okay.
And so I did, and then I didn't realize that you have to eat the protein bars to get the energy, right? It didn't refill, like it didn't automatically recharge to your third or fourth energy bar.
So it does refill if you don't fully spend the point.
Okay.
The fully spend the little battery looking thing.
Okay.
Yes, so it will refill for that, but yes, it does not
That still
refill.
sucks though. You
No,
should-
Yeah, because I was like, I just felt like, what's the point of upgrading it? Because you could just fucking hotkey the granola bar anyway, and then just eat it as you're running. So there's no point in having it because you could just, you know.
Yeah, my hotkeys were full of different energy bars and energy jellies and shit.
Oh,
Only
mine was
granola
5 guns
bars.
and five guns and 5 nades.
Jesus.
Jesus, Chan. Different play styles, huh?
I know, right? So
yeah, go for
after you get thrown out, then you go down to the hangar and you have to basically escape with Eric. That hangar, I don't think I fought anything. I'm pretty sure I just ran up to the building, the rooms, and hacked and turned off the bots.
Wait, you can turn the bots off?
Chilling. Yeah, that's like
if your hacking is good enough.
Oh no, yeah, that's why my hacking wasn't good enough. I had to. I actually liked it because once you get to that area, like where the computers are, there's 2 EMP grenades that they give you.
Oh, well, that's convenient.
Yeah. So I was like, thank you, because I literally, there's no way to kill him. There's really no way to fucking kill him if you don't have like a rocket launcher or some shit like that.
Yeah, I've never actually tried to kill them without EMPs.
I tried to kill a regular like robot, like the ones with the machine guns that they can release, like any guard can release. I probably dumped like close to like 300 bullets into it and didn't kill it. So I just assumed that they're not killable with bullets, and you have to use like energy weapons.
Well, so what was the thing that you find out that ultimately leads you to going to Montreal in this section?
I think you pretty much get told that it's like the media that's influencing everything. It's
okay.
And then that's when you get pointed at the biggest media conglomerate.
Yep.
Of which is located in Montreal.
Icus.
Yeah.
Icus Communications, and then you go to Montreal. Okay, that's right. Yeah. That's what I figured. I just couldn't remember why they decided to send you over there. Like, if you found out that then.
I have to go make dinner. Do you guys want to come back in like maybe like 45 minutes? Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay.
Fine by me. I don't
Wait,
know
what's
about
up?
Alex and Chandler.
I'll get
Yeehaw.
No. I kind of want Alex here for that though, because I think he also liked the stealth. So maybe we push that back a second.
Yeah, we could continue the story. I mean, like I said, the story to me is nothing too special. So after China, we had talked about China, so now we go to Montreal to find Eliza. And honestly, this mission tilted me super hard.
Really?
Yeah. Well.
Agreed.
Really?
Not for the mission itself.
Yep, not for the mission itself. So the mission, you walk in and it's like a 2-story broadcasting building, and stuff like that, and you're like piecing together clues. What really tilted me was at this point I had like max hacking because I invested in that so early, and that hacking was just so useful. So I was like, there's no reason not to just rush this. All the laptops or computers in the fucking offices were level 4 or 5. And I went through and I hacked through like probably close to like 50% of them, which ended up being like 15 laptops, because I thought I would be finding something fun, but it's literally the same fucking emails and dialogue like over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Emails.
Yeah, and to me it was like that was like I'll talk about it later in the upgrades part, but that is something I sincerely wish that the game did, was that like the more that you upgraded your hacking skills, the easier, or like you could just brute force like level 1 and level 2 hacking stuff if you have, just to save time, because the mini game is like, I talk about it in a second, but the mini game is like, it's just okay.
Mini game's like a mobile game.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Speaking of emails though, as a quick aside, I did find it very funny in Tai Young Medical how they were limited to 2 emails per inbox. That That shit was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I relate
I
to
gotta
that.
check.
2 emails is like the most I want to deal with at a time.
Yeah.
Wait, so it never like it never goes past the like node system. Like that's the hacking system
That's it.
through the whole game.
Yeah.
Pretty much,
That's
yeah. It
it.
just gets more difficult and more complex and stuff. But yeah.
Has a
Not
game
really.
ever surpassed Fallout's hacking system?
I
Probably
don't know.
not.
Or
Uh,
just playing Wordle will always be the top tier
Yeah, I mean
hacking
that is a
system.
really good hacking system. That's
yeah.
true.
I mean,
Is
because
I don't. What TLDR Fallout hacking?
Wordle.
yeah, it's basically
Really?
so you're given like a string of a bunch of different words, like I think like 15 different words, and you have to type in certain letters that could be the password, or you would type in like a phrase, and then it would say
It's
like,
always 4 letters.
yeah, and it just
Okay.
basically lets you know how many you got right.
Yep.
Yeah, but this hacking system, like I said, it's like, like Skyrim and Oblivion do it very much right, is because they know that when the mini game is becoming tedious, it's because you've been doing it so long, and when you've been doing it so long, you get levels for it. So then you can just force pick the lock, right?
Yep.
And so it's not
That's true.
necessarily embarrassed about the system at all. It's just recognizing that like at this point in the game, you've experienced what they want you to experience.
You're so good at lockpicking, you can shove the lockpick in there and like unlock it in 2 seconds
Oh yeah.
I mean that's
with your
literally the lock
finesse.
picking
Like
creator
that's
on TikTok.
like it even makes sense lore wise to like be like, yeah, I can just fucking shove some shit in there and unlock it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how good I am.
That's true.
Yeah, so but I guess back to Montreal, that is really where the hacking game kind of burnt. Like I was so fucking done with hacking at that point, because
Mhm.
I was just hacking so much, and there's just so much dialogue that just wasn't even like funny reads. You know what I mean? Like some games, it's like
I did not read.
yeah, like like the and fucking like Skyrim and stuff. You read like the what is it, the lusty Ardunian maid?
Argonian maid, yeah.
Argonian maid, Ardun like in RuneScape. But Argonian maid, which is funny, right? But in this, it's like, as per our last email, please see these updated policies, and it's definitely like realistic world building, but not.
So I will say that mission in particular needs or it has a very bad case of that. I will say like the first mission you can read all of the emails of people like hacking everybody, and it's different per person. But this one, yeah, no, I agree. It's very much so.
Yeah.
There's very few instances of there being interesting things to read in there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the biggest part about in Detroit Part 1, when you're doing the Norpazine quest, is
Neuropazine, yeah.
Neuropazine, right?
Neuropazine, okay. Yeah.
Is like to get to that point, you are like reading emails, and those emails are like good to read because they provide context clues for the quest and also help you progress the quest in some ways. You know what I mean? And that's fun. Like that's
I have a gripe about that when we segue.
Yeah, I think the best use of dial or like reading in the game to expand the world building and give lore is the pocket secretaries.
Yes.
Yeah, those are good.
Those are good.
Like those.
Very, very well done. And they are few and far between enough to where you actually want to look at them.
Yeah. Mine are, I guess mine are great. With those and like emails and stuff is whenever it has something relevant to whatever, quest or side quest you're doing, is there's no like, it doesn't make a note of it in the quest log for like the little side information you find.
I think you have to like read it. No, that's not even true. I mean, like if you find something with a code in it from a pocket secretary.
Yeah, are different.
Yeah, okay.
Like even like
Quest
emails
wise.
or specifically
Okay,
like quest wise when it gives you like important like like hey, this email said something about a side passage, that you could use later on, and there's no like saving of that note in the quest log or anywhere really.
Yeah, sure.
There was something like that in Detroit Part 2, I think, where it basically indicated that there was like it's like, oh man, it's so cold and drafty in here. What's going on? There must be like a vent nearby or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Oh, I see. Yeah, sure.
So Montreal was actually a pretty short mission. It was pretty.
Oh, my other gripe with Montreal, while we're talking about it, is there's no vendor between the end of
Oh yeah.
China and Montreal. I'm just, as soon as I start Montreal, I'm like just maxed out on inventory already. So I had to play a lot of inventory management.
That's an interesting gripe, but it makes sense. I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Montreal as a whole, personally, especially once you got towards the bottom, the deeper and deeper you went.
Yeah.
I thought the story got very interesting at this point on, personally.
Yes. Agreed.
Was
Minecraft decided it was a good area.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me. Okay, it's right after Montreal. What I'm thinking of, but I'll bring it up. Yeah, I like I liked Montreal. It didn't really feel like that. It really needed like its own like chapter in the wiki because it wasn't its own zone. It could have really just been an extension or a prelude to Detroit Part 2 instead.
I agree. I did. Yeah, no, I agree. It's not quite long enough. I immediately knew that Eliza was an AI the second we didn't find her in her office.
Yeah, same.
Like, it was instantly obvious before we even like found out she was a hologram.
I don't think any of the like quote unquote plot twists really surprised me.
Yeah, same.
I don't think they surprised me, but I don't think they were done badly. I liked them, if that makes sense. They don't have to be. I guess they weren't really plot twists, if I'm not really surprised, but they were good plot points.
Okay, well, there's one big plot point or plot twist or whatever right after this. It's the same point I just brought up earlier that I said I'll save it because I think it's one of the fucking funniest and dumbest fucking things I've heard in a video game. That but
I know what you're talking about. I think.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'll have to see.
This is
Monica.
So we you get to fight the second boss, and this boss was actually a fucking bitch and a half for me to kill.
I agree. This boss was.
I thought it was okay.
Difficult. I think. Well, so this boss was really hard for me.
I died like 5 or 6 times, dude.
Yeah, same. This boss was really hard to me until I figured out how exactly the electricity works. And once I figured out that you could there's safe spaces and you can shoot the electricity and it'll knock her out of stealth, and then you can beat her ass. Then
you can shoot the electricity?
Yeah, you shoot the panels on the sides of the room and it causes the electricity.
Once I figured that out, I let her hit it to electrify. Because she did that rush attack.
Yeah. Once I figured that out, it made it a lot more manageable. But my mistake was I, for some reason, wasn't expecting there to be a boss, so I kind of got rid of my good weapon, my good actual weapon that I use for bosses, and I regretted that. So I had to basically pick up the really shitty heavy machine gun,
heavy rifle.
Yeah, the heavy rifle, and trying to shoot her with that as she is shooting me, and I'm on the hardest difficulty. I'm just getting melted because that thing has.
That is a fair point. I don't think I was on the hardest difficulty.
Oh yeah, I played the whole thing on the hardest difficulty.
I was on.
I couldn't be bothered.
I think I was on hard or whatever one below the hardest was.
Yeah.
But
because all it changes is enemy health and stuff, right?
Probably. Yeah.
I think it's that, and for stealth elements, it's their detection.
That would explain a lot.
Does it make hacking any different? I wonder. I doubt it.
Probably not. No, I doubt it. But yeah, that boss was tough for me.
Yeah, same. I only got through it literally through luck. I didn't want to look up any boss guides, but it was literally somehow she got stuck on the electricity. I didn't I figured that's how you did it, but I didn't know how to cause it. So she literally just got stuck on it, and at this point I had a super upgraded pistol. I just fucking blasted her in the face 6 times, and she just died.
Well, so another issue, another issue for this fight. Like I said, it was easier once I figured out how to use the electricity and not get injured by it. But I didn't have like any meds basically, and I was on the hardest difficulty because I would just always stealth knock someone out, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't need the meds. And boy, oh boy, did that make this fight rough. Because you can't really avoid the damage when she's a ranged character and like is shooting at you with the machine guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got it was brutal.
Yeah.
Definitely the fight I've died the most to.
Yeah, easily. I don't think after this fight there's like two main boss fights after this, not including the DLC.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I thought this boss fight was a pain in the ass. Which I mean is okay. Like it's okay to have hard boss fights. It's definitely not like a, you know, I think thematically it was cool. I actually really liked the how Eliza was like talking to you during the fucking fight.
Yep, and giving you helpful hints basically,
Yeah,
and
like,
was basically like, you got to kill her for both you and I, because otherwise she's gonna kill me too.
Yeah, and I like that. I thought that was cool. She's like, she's coming up to attack you now. I was like, oh shit. Okay, let me.
I wish there was
Yeah,
more of
thank you.
Eliza after this. I liked Eliza a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought she was a good character.
Yeah. So
I think she shows
Yeah,
up more in
yeah.
the other games.
Y'all got Rize in this game? What's going on?
No,
Rize?
well, she's basically kind of like Rize, but like, yeah, not really.
But yeah, I thought she was a good character. I like that whole mission in general. Thought it was good.
Good. I honestly thought it was alright.
Stealth was hard in this mission though.
The what?
There was not enough, or like there was
stealth.
enough
Yeah.
ways to get around, but there were just so many enemies, dude. It was tough. Yeah.
Yeah. So after this mission, you go back to Detroit, and I have such a big fucking issue here. So if I remember correctly, Eliza kind of tips you off and says that David Seraph isn't. He's leading you on. He's not letting you know everything that he knows.
Mhm.
Oh,
Kind
quick
of thing?
aside
Yep.
about Montreal, one last thing. I did like how you could go into the room and basically see how they're doctoring all of the video and evidence and whatnot to rile people up. I thought that was
Mhm.
good. Good addition. Good world building and stuff. Anyway.
So yeah, you get the notice that David Seraph knows more than he's telling you, kind of thing. And then when you go to fucking Seraph, this is the point that I actually started fucking laughing. Was he literally just blamed it on the Illuminati. He's like, it's not me, Adam. It's the Illuminati. And I was like, what is this guy talking about? So there's like a little question box, and it's like Adam's like, the Illuminati. What do you mean the Illuminati? It's like, it's the League of Hidden Shadows of powerful people. And I was like, this reeks so hard of a fucking like 2009 to 2013 game where the Illuminati was such a big meme, you know?
Yep, that's what I was thinking too. I think back in the day, it probably would have had more of an less of a joke meme kind of context, than it does now. But no, I agree. I pretty much had the same response. I was like, really? Like, we got hints about it throughout the game, so it makes sense. But when he came out with it, I was like, really? Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess.
And this is kind of like where I think for like a lot of media, video games included, is that like sometimes it's really when I think about like other forms of media and just kind of like how they've aged and dated, or how they've become aged and dated, it's really the story and those story moments that like make something good, right? Because the first thing that comes to mind is let me see the 1992 film of Reservoir Dogs, shot by the Quentin Tarantino himself, and that's probably like that's a great movie, right? But because it's like the dialogue is
Honk Shoe.
The what?
Honk Shoe, bro. Reservoir Dogs.
I've never seen it.
It's really good. It's a really
it's a good movie.
But it's like when I think of like media, that's what I kind of think of is like, even though it came out like almost or pretty much over 30 years ago, it still holds up, I think, by modern standards.
Do you think that's why fantasy games hold up much better than like these trying to tell like a modern story or even futuristic story type game?
Are you talking like fantasy games like Legend of Zelda kind of thing, where it's like a loose
Well,
story?
I mean, even like in the same era, like like a Skyrim type game where it's like the story isn't rooted in modern issues, basically, because if your main complaint is the Illuminati, like dates the story super hard kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from.
I
I do
can't.
think I don't have so much of an issue with the whole Illuminati thing, but I do think that if they changed the name from the Illuminati to something else, like
Yeah,
the cartel or like anything more just general, it probably would have had less of a meme factor to where it wouldn't necessarily detract from the story. Because if we just, I feel like if we just removed the Illuminati name and just gave it some the Cabal or something,
Yeah,
then it would fulfill the same purpose, but reduce the risk of the jokey meme
Right.
but
nature that comes from it.
maybe that's why it gave like that's one of the aspects that gave it the notoriety of the time because
Yeah, no,
you
absolutely.
know because I mean if it was the cabal like oh that's some like generic bullshit like oh
Yeah.
great cool whatever but I don't know because I feel the same way like I'm being devil advocate here because like I felt the same I heard someone or something a show reference ISIS and I was like oh
Mm,
man that's
yeah.
like that dates show super hard because like who the fuck cares about ISIS anymore?
Or Al Qaeda if it's a older show.
Yeah.
Although they're
Yeah,
still
like
sort of relevant nowadays anyway, but
come on, we're all about
I
Hamas
digress.
now. Let's get with the picture.
Right, right.
Yeah,
No, yeah, I mean, I agree.
I mean that's a good point, but it's like I'm trying to think it through because other games like another game like so this game was released in 2011. GTA 5 was released in 2013 on consoles.
Mhm.
But I think
That's a fucking depressing
yeah, I know.
comparison. 2 years, really?
We got T7R talking about a 2011 game before GTA 6 XD.
Classic.
But like this, I feel like the story of GTA 5 is fine because it's more of like an interpretation of kind of like an idea, right? Like we're trying to make it kind of thing. Like we're trying to hustle, we're trying to
Hmm.
heist. And I feel like riffs on those stories, like even like because if we think about it, like Reservoir Dogs, I wouldn't say it's like a detective film, but it's like a suspense kind of like not detective, but it's like they're trying to figure out who the rat is, right? So there's some
Noir kind of
element
thing.
of like like
Oh, no, I see.
of like kind of like that kind of question answer kind of thing. And I feel like even though there's only like maybe so many of those kind of like generic kind of ideas, it's really like how you can play into them instead. Where it's like I feel like for Deus Ex, it's like you have the idea of a pretty good concept of basically you are a private detective being like led around by the higher ups, right, that are masquerading something. And I feel like that what's that movie that's like you can't handle the truth kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I forget. It's a military movie, but yeah, I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
it's the same. It's kind of the same premise that they're following orders from higher ups who are like withholding information from them.
A Few Good Men.
Yeah, yeah, Few Good Men, which is also a classic movie. And so I feel like it's like that's kind of what I think about. It's it's how you execute like your version of this kind of movie or trope than it is anything else. But I do agree. I think dating it by saying the Illuminati is not like them is not the move sometimes.
No, yeah, I get that for sure. And I get it, yeah. Yeah. It kind of backfired on it currently. But at the
At the
time
time, it was great.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
Anyway,
so now that we find out that it's the Illuminati that are pulling the strings this whole time, because we finally learned that from David Seraph, which I think there's a persuasion check here actually.
Really good.
yep. There it is.
Now we go to Detroit Part 2, which is the same map of Detroit, except that there's been huge riots. And there's this guy called William Taggart, who's like the head of the Illuminati or whatever like that you're supposed to go and confront or find details about. And then after doing that, you have to find his doctor, because William Taggart and his doctor are the ones that removed the tracking implants from the scientists that they captured, including Megan.
Yep. And we start off by confronting Taggart, which I think this is probably one of the best, the most well done sequences in the game, when you have the conversation with Taggart in front of all of the cameras and all the people and everything, and you have to like do the convincing. You have to convince them, basically talk them down. And I think that was incredibly well done, and I thought all of the dialogue and the back and forth was really, really good in that section. I liked it a lot.
That's actually interesting. I didn't do that.
Yeah, because I know there is the option to just like bypass it, right? But
Yeah.
I chose the option of confronting Taggart directly in front of everybody, and I thought the dialogue and the back and forth and the discussion was very good. It was very philosophical, and I liked it. It was a good one.
Yeah, I think because what I did is like, yeah, you can go basically into like his room or whatever it's called, where like like where you like get ready for your meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
So you can go into his room and hack his computer and steal the shit off of his computer, and then you don't ever have to do anything about him. Because then, yeah. So that's actually what I did. I kind of wish I confronted Taggart instead now, because that sounds like the more, I guess, interesting option.
It's definitely, it adds a lot of perspective and character to Taggart as a character, and his propensity to bring people over to his side and his charismatic nature and whatnot. I thought it did his character well, so I liked it. It was a good addition.
Yeah, because the only time that I interact with Taggart was at the very end.
Interesting. Okay.
So when
did you talk to him at the what's it called, in the tower? He's in the tower once.
Yeah,
I think headquarters.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Oh yeah, you have to talk to him. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was them, but at that point I was like, who the fuck is this old, like this fucking guy? I don't fucking care. Yeah. Right, and then I don't see him until the end of the game. I honestly kind of forgot that happened.
That's something about this game that I think is perhaps underappreciated, is all of the different avenues you can go through to achieve your goals.
Yeah, like it does give the player freedom and how they.
Yeah, lots of agency for the player for sure.
Yeah,
and I think but that's the route that I went, and I think I liked that route. It was good. Added a lot of perspective. You basically convince him that Sandoval is is part of the terrorist organization doing all the bad, like the causing all the riots and whatnot, and starting all of that, because Taggart pleads innocence, essentially, that he didn't know.
Yeah, to jump back to Detroit Part 1, or maybe it's this part. It's like Zeke comes back if you let him live.
Yes, so I actually have a great. Zeke Part 1, like you said, you can interact with Zeke again if you let him live, and he essentially gives you some info about the guy, the hacker that we were looking after.
Yeah,
then you can end up running into Zeke again in Detroit Part 2, which you're looking. It's when you're looking for Sandoval. You're searching their apartment.
Yeah.
And you end up running into Zeke, and I got completely baited. So remember when you enter the apartment, there's a Praxis kit on the ground,
I died
and there's the guy, and I was immediately suspicious because I was like, okay, there's clearly something going on. So I guess I tried to move the body or something, but I ended up getting EMP mined. Bro runs out of the back room and one-shots me, and I'm dead. I thought it was
really
hilarious and very well written. Like I was trying to avoid the trap that was the Praxis kit, but I ended up getting hit by the other trap, which was the EMP mine. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I died to that too. I picked up the Praxis kit and blew up, which honestly is an ingenious trap because it's like, yeah, if you are like a cyber guy, you're gonna pick up a Praxis kit because you know what I mean. So it was clever, but I kind of wish that there was a little bit more that you could like negotiate with Zeke, or that there'd be some interaction. Because what happens is if you open up the door, he just turns hostile and you start shooting.
Yep. No, I agree. I thought that was a bit unfortunate, but I mean, all of the backstory we get about Zeke is that he is kind of like suffering from PTSD. He's a war veteran. You know, he claims that his augments made him kill a bunch of people and whatnot. That's why he got him removed. So it kind of tracks, but it is definitely unfortunate since our character did have that rapport in the past that we couldn't really like do anything about it. We couldn't really like talk him down or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wonder if it was just a feature that was dropped.
That's possible. It could have been a feature that was dropped, but
because it feels like it would fit in there to where you could do something like a third time and that'd be the final time kind of thing. Right. It would, like, if that is something that was dropped, I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
Because I think what was it? Brandon was telling me that this game ended up changing hands like a bunch. Like,
really?
I think it was.
Didn't it end up with Square Enix at the end?
I believe so, and that's why there's a bunch of Final Fantasy references.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think Brandon said that there were the first number that comes to my head is 6. That was handed off 6 times.
Jesus.
Deus Ex Human Revolutions. Because he said it was basically stuck, because he played it on release, that it was basically stuck in development hell for a long time. Like, it was supposed to like release. Yeah, here it is. Human Revolution was announced in 2007. It was released in 2010, and the director's cut was released in 2013. Actually, that's not actually what I thought it was. Yeah, well, from what I'm reading on the Wikipedia page, so this is the second game, right? Or like the third game, right? So it's Deus Ex and then Invisible War. Yep. And this game was basically like there were like a couple games that were in development and that were just kind of like tossed up in the air, and then this is the one that came out.
Yeah, I believe so. I know it's the earliest iteration of the series, if I recall correctly, but it is the third game released. Yeah, like it's the earliest in the timeline, but the third one released.
Yeah. So I mean, it comes to the thing. It's like if you have so many like studios or people touching the game, then it kind of can lose vision in that sense, right? Like, imagine if fucking, like, imagine if like Outer Wilds got touched by. It's already, Outer Wilds in itself can already be seen as a confusing game. Now imagine if it got fucking touched by like 4 or 5 different game studios.
Exactly. Not to mention people wanting to make their mark on the game as well.
Well, so Detroit Part 2 was actually super short. Once you confront the dude, which is I can't remember the doctor's name. Did you kill him, or, well, I guess you can't because you went pacifist. It's like the
Which
last guy.
one?
So after
Yeah.
you confront Zeke, you drop into the sewers, and then you have to like
Oh,
stealth around.
Sandoval?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. So I tried to convince him to not kill himself, and yeah, he didn't kill himself.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. I don't know if you like just shot him or whatever, but you can walk up to him and start a conversation, and he's gonna kill himself is the ultimate, is like that's what he wants to do, but you can convince him not to kill himself. That way he can like tell his side of the story and not be, like not have his information die with him,
Yeah.
basically.
That's funny. Did you set off the mine leading into his room?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I accidentally set off the mine, and I couldn't get past it because I didn't know you could fucking just defuse mines.
That's funny.
So I never got past it, and the mine blowing up makes him on high alert. So when you walk into the room, he's like holding a gun at the door, and I think there's like a quick dialogue option as he's holding you at gunpoint, and I think you can convince him to put the gun down. At this point, I didn't fucking care, and I just took out my gun and started blasting, kind of thing.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I convinced him to not off himself. Chandler, Alex, you guys back? Have any comments on this section?
Chandler did post something, said, my only note for Detroit Part 2 is you can tell this is when the game starts ramping up, which is true.
That's true, definitely, yeah.
Like this is really where like more action, more story moments, and etc.
Yep, absolutely. The only other note I have of this is one of the side quests. You have to like go and defuse a bomb underneath the police headquarters. And what I find very cool is that you can shoot the gas canisters of the bomb, and that is another way to defuse it.
Yeah, that is.
That's pretty cool.
That's actually how you can defuse the gas bomb in the hostage mission too. Yeah. Oh, I read that online after I beat it.
That makes sense. That's pretty cool.
So after Detroit.
Sorry, I'm back.
What up? We're just finishing up Detroit Part 2. You got anything you want to?
Wait, Tyler said I'd mute him. Did you not unmute him?
I did.
Oh, okay. He muted himself. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm letting Lemon out right now.
Lemon. You got anything you want to add to Detroit Part 2?
TLDR on what y'all said?
A lot.
Yeah, we basically talked about finding Taggart and then finding the doctor.
Did you talk to Taggart, or did you just sneak into his room?
I actually did both.
Okay, cool. How did you feel about the talk to Taggart thing? Because I thought that was a great scene, and it added a lot to his character, and was very, very interesting dialogue, back and forth discussion, you know?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yep.
I didn't see it. I kind of wish I saw it now. It sounds better than...
It was kind of weird. Like, I wasn't expecting it to happen. I will say that. It was kind of abrupt.
I expected it because I feel like we got a lot of hints on how convincing and charismatic Taggart is.
Yeah. Like, I figured we would, like, have some sort of, like, dialogue battle with him, but I didn't think it would be me bursting into, like, an in-progress press conference.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair.
Taggart, you piece of shit. Is that pretty much what happened?
More along the lines of, you can't keep your men controlled. How can we be sure you don't know about it? Kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
I thought sneaking into his office was good too.
I thought caring about what currently happened, it sounds like yours was the alter, or the way that you guys did it was way better.
I thought it was cool. Yeah.
I skimmed it. Like, I went and did the talk, and then I was like, all right, I want to go also figure out where his office is and sneak to it.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. I mean, you do go back to his office eventually after talking to him, but
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
anyway,
I think something that we could talk about actually before we leave Detroit Part 2 is something that we touched on in Detroit Part 1, that the whole area has transformed because it's riots and stuff like that, but unfortunately I felt so disinterested with the area at this point that I just honestly I didn't care. I didn't care
Yeah, I mean, I was more annoyed because I couldn't go back to the Seraph headquarters
Yeah.
to do that quest that I missed, so that was annoying. However, I did find it interesting that the riot started because of the whole doctored footage stuff that the Picus Communications was sending out to everybody and
Mhm.
like broadcasting and everything. I thought it was a nice way of showing how tensions are rising and things are getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so after you leave, so you leave Detroit to go back to Hengsha because one of the captured scientists, their frequencies, you basically find out that the frequencies had been changed.
Yep.
And then so you track one back down to Hengsha. How convenient.
Wait, so how do you? What's the TLDR on finding out that their scientists are still alive? When
Sandoval
did?
lets us know.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, he basically says he wasn't able to remove the implants. He's only able to change the frequencies of them.
Yeah, and then we track it to one of them.
Wait, and it's
One of them started showing up, and we tracked it to Hengsha.
Mm-hmm.
is it what? Is it hacker dude when we find out that they're still alive?
No, we find that out in Hengsha, part 2.
Okay. Okay.
It's coming up.
So yeah, so Hengsha Part 2. I guess my TLDR of the whole mission.
Wait, we got to talk about the opening scene.
Oh, I
The
totally
most
forgot
stressful
about that.
part.
Yeah, so you get fucking rocket shot by someone there, and you
Bell
go.
Tower, I believe.
Tower, yeah.
So you go down, and it's you fighting. Wow, what's her name? Is there?
Malik.
Malik, yeah.
Malik. So you're trying to protect Malik. Malik died in my story. Unlucky.
So
I saved come.
I did too. I knew there was a way to save her, like, because
Yeah.
there's no way you would have basically the option of just running past them, because I just in my mind I knew there was a way to save them or save her, and since I was doing a non-lethal run, I didn't know how the timing worked and how exact I had to be, so I definitely save scummed and made sure she lived.
She died. I didn't think it was possible to save her, in all honesty.
Yeah, I don't know. I just knew that there was gonna be a way to save her, or maybe I just hoped. But yeah, so I knew that being non-lethal is gonna be difficult. So yeah, I definitely saved scummed. Glad I saved her though. I am curious
I couldn't
though.
imagine doing that part non-lethal.
It was tough. It was a lot of running around, and thankfully they were mostly focused on the ship, the crashed helicopter, instead of shooting me. But they would turn towards me and start blasting me. So I had to be very quick and use a lot of the cloak.
I swear I kept getting unlucky at least a couple times, and they would like blow up the barrels near it, and I would just have to restart immediately.
Interesting. I never had that issue. Huh.
Yeah.
It was always just I'd be my biggest issue was the robots exploding next to people and killing them.
Oh no,
But
yeah,
I'm
like
pretty,
I had to save scum because what's her name died.
yeah, I
As I was
actually
trying to
never
kill
had her
everyone.
die. I actually think I got it correctly the first round. However, I was like worried that one of the people died from the explosion of the robot when I threw the EMP grenade, and I didn't want to get to the end of the game and not get the achievement for not killing anybody. So I redid it a couple of times to make sure 100%. Because I was gonna be pissed if I got to the end and didn't get it, like what happened to Alex. Rip.
Oh yeah, she totally died in mine. And
So who brings you places when she dies in yours? Like for the other missions?
Actually, she definitely shows up again.
Yeah. Is it just some no-name pilot or something?
Hold on. So after China's the DLC, and so there's no one bringing me there. After the DLC is Singapore. There's no one to bring you there. And then Singapore into Panchaea, there's no one to bring you there.
No, they bring you.
Yeah.
They bring.
You
Malik brings you there. Yeah. So getting a bit ahead, when they activate it, Malik comes into the hangar and like EMP grenades them. It's
Mhm.
after you save Megan. She EMP grenades them, and Megan takes off with Malik.
Yep.
Really?
So
That's
is it
right.
just
Yeah,
some
that's right.
no-name pilot for you then?
No, it was literally
How did the scientists escape? I guess is the question.
Yeah.
in Singapore.
After you save Megan, yeah.
Yeah.
They just fucking leave.
On just a
Where?
helicopter? Or do
No,
they not ever go
I
into the
think-
hangar?
I think they just never go in the hangar.
What the fuck?
I
Alright, guess.
I honestly can't remember because I didn't because I thought
find out.
this was all scripted, so I thought but yeah, no, when you get to Panchaea, it's because you're like in like a fucking like
Yeah, you
like
shoot out in the rocket, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the same for that. But before you go into the rocket, there's like the helipad and there's a bunch of insane people there. Yeah, Malik just like swoops in, drops an EMP, and like knocks or kills him. But then Megan and the scientists run to the helicopter and fly out.
Mm-hmm.
It actually might be a no-name helicopter pilot then.
Okay,
That
that would
probably
make
makes
sense.
that would make the most sense. I honestly I cannot remember.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean that's what I assumed happened, but interesting nonetheless. Anyway, backtracking back to Hengsha Part 2.
So so you basically link up with the harvesters, and you track the frequency down to Tong, who's like the leader of the gang. And it's because he basically has the arm, like a stolen arm of the chipped scientist.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually funny here because when Malik died in my playthrough, you can actually find her dead body on like an operating table in the
Damn.
harvester's place. Yeah, so it's like, damn.
That's brutal. Good
Um,
little callback, but brutal.
yeah, I was like, I kind of looked at the body. I was like, shit. Yeah. So you talk to Tong, and he's basically like, hey, yeah, I can tell you how to fucking do this. I can tell you how to fucking blow up bell tower. I can give you everything you need to blow up bell tower, but I need you to rescue my son first.
Yep.
Apparently, the rescuing his son is actually a mission with the director's cut.
Okay, I was about to ask
Oh, really?
if we know, like, yeah, okay. I wonder in the original game how it leads into Panchaea after the DLC.
Yeah.
Or not Panchaea, but the scientist area.
Yeah.
Singapore.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if I recall correctly, it is essentially the same thing. It just inserts.
Is it something else that points you to the docks, I guess?
So you're still stowing away.
Yeah,
I
I
believe.
figured that.
Let's see.
I guess something else points you to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could still be the harvesters.
I believe so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you still stow away like normal. It's just, in the director's cut, it inserts the DLC right there. So you would just make it to Singapore like normal instead of having to go through Rifleman's Bay.
So yeah, so when you blow up the bell tower port, honestly, it was funny because at this point of the game, I kind of just like, not to say like I wanted it to be over, but I was just like, I'm just gonna fucking go Rambo and kill everybody, kind of thing. And so that part of the game is actually where I started to schemaz the stealth. Because I realized that you could walk in, because it's, if I remember correctly, it's like you have to get into the very center. You have to get into the office, right? The office is what you're trying to blow up.
Yeah.
And so but before you get into the office, there's like a little warehouse in between you, the port. So it's like the port, the warehouse, and then the office is connected on the backside of the warehouse. A bunch of enemies inside that warehouse. This is where I started just scamming the system, because I realized that on the catwalk above that leads to like the outside, you could literally run into the catwalk, take cover, fucking shoot like 30 people and then run out and they just won't know where you are.
Yep.
Yeah, like classic Skyrim kind of shit. Like, oh, where'd you go?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what I really started doing. I started doing that in pretty much anywhere else. That like, if there was an overabundance of enemies, I just did not have the patience to stealth through. I would just shoot like 4 or 5 of them, kill them, and then run away and run back.
Yeah. Honestly, Hengsha Part 2, it was good, but I just like wasn't very memorable, I don't think, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I really just remember the cutscene of you blowing up.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's true. I get that. Yeah, I don't know. It was fine, I guess.
Yeah.
I really don't have a whole lot to say about it, honestly.
I'm really excited to talk about the DLC because I've thought about it for a while. It might be single-handedly the worst DLC I've ever played through in my life.
Interesting. I don't think it's that bad. My main gripe with it is that it's unavoidable.
Yes.
And I know that is
What?
a big I know that's a big gripe with a lot of people, is that it's unavoidable. Because I think so. Yeah, Tyler, it inserts it into the main story, so you cannot avoid the DLC.
So,
That's something the director's cut version did.
When I was reading a lot of the synopsis, like the plot synopsis for this game, everyone had a massive issue with the ending of this game.
Oh, we'll get to that. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. So the DLC does not fix that because I didn't know if it was differentiating between the DLC or not. Okay.
I've got a whole bunch of paragraphs about the ending that we'll get to. I've got a rant about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, the DLC.
The DLC. So you get to the DLC because after you blow up the bell tower port, you're basically put in like a cryo sleep pod, and someone is tasked to basically transport your cryo sleep pod to Singapore. However, you get kind of found out and you wake up at the DLC location, which is on board the submarine that is currently like transferring people, right?
Yep. Going to Rifleman's Bay.
Yep. So I'll get it out the way. The reason I think this is probably the worst DLC that I've ever had or have ever played is because they remove all of your upgrades at this point. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about like why I think that's generally just it's good when it's done right, but they didn't do it correctly and they end up actually punishing you for making quote unquote incorrect choices.
Yes. Yeah, so the biggest I don't, like you said, I don't mind the whole resetting all of your praxis stuff in theory if it's done right. Like when the game was originally released and, you probably played the DLC after you played the main game.
Yes.
For some more context. And I like the idea of inserting the DLC into the main story because it makes sense in the narrative and it provides much more context to what is going to happen in the future or in later missions. However, resetting your praxis points in the middle of the game and getting rid of all of your weapons and whatnot is very frustrating.
It's
very annoying to deal with. Regardless of the fact that you get them at the end before, like you get everything back at the end before you go on to Singapore, it's very frustrating to have smack in the middle of the game. And I think inserting it there made sense from a narrative perspective, but not from a design perspective in terms of player enjoyment.
I completely agree. And
that was the biggest issue with it, which is unfortunate because I liked the DLC as a whole. But anyway.
To dunk on the DLC further, it's so basically after you're done getting interrogated, a mystery hacker, surprise, wow, frees you from your shackles, and you basically are now tasked to go get some of your old shit. You don't get all of it, you just get some of it. at like a certain location, right? So you're pretty much unarmored and going through, which is cool. Like that's been done before, like even in fucking like Call of Duty, right? Where you're basically like there's like a small little stealth section where you don't have any weapons, where you have to go get to those weapons. My main issue is by this point in the game, hacking has been invaluable. Getting into terminals, being able to hack different kind of robots and stuff like that has been so invaluable, but yet it's so expensive. The next thing that's invaluable but also expensive is upgrading your inventory management to maximum. There is no reason to not do that, especially with the amount of loot they just end up accumulating through the game. And it's not just like needless loot. It's like some of these guns take up huge amounts of inventory space. So after you upgrade your hacking and your inventory to max level, I remember that you're maybe left with like three praxis kits.
Yep.
So
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So in my head, I'm like, well, what else has been so good in this game? It has been the invisibility. So I had max inventory, max hacking, and invisibility, and that's what I had to start off this DLC with.
Yep. Yeah, that's the and it's frustrating because you're right in the sense that if you don't take very specific things with the few praxis kits you're given at the start of the DLC, you're gonna be at a disadvantage, and that's very frustrating.
Right.
Like not being able to take the higher jump praxis, which I really liked. I thought it was very useful. Is very frustrating, and because you kind of really need all of the hacking that you can get your hands on because of how important it is, and it's frustrating that you can't. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make you pick and choose, but I didn't like it, especially smacked in the middle of the game.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing. Is like there's what really did it in for me was two separate situations where one, I was completely blocked off an area because I didn't have toxic breathing, so I couldn't breathe in gas. So I had to completely find a way around that, which is fine. That's fine. The second big issue, which I think honestly is unforgivable, because I actually ended up looking this up later.
Are you talking about the end?
Yeah. So just to skip ahead to the end. So you're tasked with basically either saving the one whistleblower scientist or all the prisoners, right? I found a secret room in the back that you can access through a vent, right? So it's not like hidden or anything like that, where basically it looks like it's like a jumping puzzle. Like you can jump up there and there's like a ledge that you can get up to walk. And I looked it up later, and if you go up that ledge, that's actually where the gas bomb is, and you can defuse the gas bomb and save both of them.
Yep.
But to get to that, you have to have the jumping upgrade, and I'm just like, who prioritizes a jumping upgrade over everything else that has just been absolutely necessary to playing the game?
Yeah, no. So that was a big gripe with me as well. I actually did take the jumping upgrade. So I was able to do that. I was able to save both of them. However, I agree that it's very frustrating that it's locked, essentially. So there is technically a way you can get around it without using the jumping upgrade, but it requires a lot of jumping on boxes and nonsense. Yeah. It's not intuitive.
It's not intended by the developer.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sure this is likely, like, the fact that it's hidden at all is a decision by the developers to make it to where you have to go out of your way to find the third solution. You don't just stop at the first, you don't just take the lesser of two evils or what have you. You you force your way into a better option. And I like that. That's cool. I think that's clever. But I agree that the fact that it's basically locked behind having certain praxis upgrades is really stupid.
Yeah, because at this point it's like when you're in the regular game, I always held at least one praxis kit available just in case I would need it.
Same. Same.
But because to start a praxis kit tree you need at least two, I was never doing that. because I was like, this is just a DLC, and I knew at the end of the DLC I was going to get all my shit back. So I was like, I'm just going to invest this right now with what is going to help me in the short term, and then I get punished for it because I'm not going to fucking take a jumping upgrade because I'd never use that in the game.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree that plus the long loading screens, quote unquote loading screens, was those things made the DLC bad. I do think there are some redeeming qualities about the DLC that I'll get to once we're done ranting about it.
Yeah, I guess I'll bring this up when we about the boss, or I guess the last guy, the fucking Texan or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I don't even remember his name.
But yeah, we could start. We could jump from the beginning. At this point, I actually kind of was having a little bit of fun just going fucking Psycho Killer, Psycho Mantis, mode. Because as soon as I got my fucking fully upgraded pistol, dude, I was going through the fucking hallways just fucking blasting everybody.
Yeah.
And I was like, my goal is to complete this DLC in the quickest amount of time possible.
Yep. Yeah, the backtracking was very frustrating.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so you wake up on this ship. You're considered a stowaway. You're interrogated, but a mystery hacker lets you go. You escape, and then you learn that the ship is a mix of sex trafficking, human experimentation, organ harvesting, and pretty much just like a prison, right? And you eventually end up working with a couple people on the ship to stop everything and to blow basically like a whistle on the whole operation by working with a whistleblower.
The whistleblower being a scientist that was working on the experimentations.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought was a very interesting part. So that's kind of like the first main thing that you walk into was the human experimentation. There's like two scientists talking to the main guy.
Yeah, the colonel guy.
Yeah. And then so that's pretty cool. And you get to meet at this point I think what's her face ends up defecting to your side, whoever the lieutenant is.
So she was always planning on doing that. She was kind of working in secret to blow the whistle, but you come along and make it actually a possibility. I forget her name as well. The sergeant, though. Yeah,
sergeant. And then you get to meet that one guy who sells you stuff. I can't remember he's like Australian.
I thought he was Scottish, but yeah.
Scottish,
Gavin Quinn.
Yep.
That is his name. Yeah. Keitner is the girl.
Yeah, Keitner, Quinn, and what was the?
I'm trying to find it. Shoot, what is dude's name? Burke,
Quinn, Keitner. Got it.
And Keitner, yeah.
I mean, from a story standpoint, I thought it was at least semi-interesting until the end, which I'll talk about, which kind of ruined it for me.
Are you talking about Quinn in specifically?
No, Burke.
Interesting.
There's a certain there's something that happens with Burke that I'm just like,
okay, not sure.
So you work through this, and that's when you kind of learn about it more. I actually thought that the level design was fairly nice. I kind of like the tight corridors, and
I thought it was great. I'm gonna when I actually give the DLC its plaudits, I'll get to that as well.
Yeah, I thought it was overall good level designs. I liked the tight corridors. I liked all the doors that you could go into. It was like it felt nice, yet not too confusing, and interesting enough.
Yep.
So that all got huge pluses for me. I was like, hey, this is kind of fun, which is why I kind of had fun going Psycho Mantis mode, because I could just fucking run down the hallway, blast like 4 people, turn the corner, blast 2 people. And I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yep.
I think an area where I think that they didn't do that great was that little like center atrium where like that computer, or I guess like the ship terminal was.
With all of the prisoners?
Yeah, and so you had to basically, and the only reason I say this is because it was a very long walk up, and then it's also a very long walk down, and when you have to backtrack, it
was frustrating for sure.
It's kind of unnecessary.
I agree. Yeah, so and then, after we work with the scientists to save them, Keitner ends up getting killed because Burke finds
Well,
out. And then we either choose to save the prisoners or the whistleblower, and or the third option, both. And then after you make that decision, you go and kill Burke, and then you find out that Quinn is actually the guy that freed you in the first place.
Tonight I'm in the mood for something a
And
little
he's
different.
working.
Piece of paper in the center. Oh, that's
Monkey, yes.
Okay.
Tyler
And
muted.
then, yep, I muted him. And then, yeah, so we find out Quinn's the guy who freed you, and you get sent off to Singapore.
After getting all your upgrades, of course.
What'd you say?
After getting all your upgrades, of course.
After getting all your upgrades back, yeah.
Yeah, I think. I guess I'll say it. So the one thing I really didn't like about the story was at the very end, because at this point, there's that side mission to save the girl who's in the pod, right? Because her life support
Yes. Yeah.
thing went out, right?
Yeah. At the very beginning, shortly after you wake up, yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of I was pretty interested in this, and I was reading through it, and this is where I figured out that it was sex trafficking, because it was
Yep.
You learn earlier at the prostitution house that there's different markets for girls with and without augmentations, and it was explicitly listed on kind of their identification of the pods, whether they did not or did have documentations where they're coming from, family that would search for them or not, right? So it was very obviously it was human and sex trafficking. You get to know about human experimentation, the fact that they're taking organs out of people's bodies at this point. And at the very end, because I'm killing everybody and I'm blasting through, fucking Burke has the goal to say, is you know what, Jensen, you're just as bad, if not worse, as me. You killed all insane. My men. I'm just I'm brother, what delusion is this?
Oh yeah, because you were killing people. I don't know what he said for me. I'm sure he made a comment about how I didn't kill anybody, and he was basically just along the lines of, "Man, that must have taken a lot of willpower, He seemed so bloodthirsty or whatever." And it's all right, whatever, dude.
It's like this guy's really trying to bring me down to his sex, human trafficking, experimentation, organ harvesting, fucking prison. Yeah. I'm just bro, what? And this is where it's I thought that they could have. I understand what kind of comparison that they're trying to draw between the two of them, but they could have made it so much easier to draw it for themselves.
Yeah, I thought Burke was kind of a forgettable villain, personally.
Yeah. He almost hit the trope of just being he's the bad villain,
Yeah, exactly. Chaotic evil.
Yeah. Gosh. Whereas I feel like most villains that are good villains are villains like Joaquin Phoenix Joker, where it's villains that you can understand where they get to, right?
Well, have you seen Joker 2?
I have not seen Joker.
I've heard it's bad.
It's really bad.
Oh god. I kind of don't want
to. Wait, can I tell y'all a spoiler? Do you plan on watching Joker 2?
I've already seen spoilers.
Probably.
Okay. So have you seen Joker 1?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great movie, right?
Yeah, I liked it.
The ending of Joker 2 conveys that the Joker in the Joker 1 and Joker 2 is not the actual Joker. It's the inspiration to the real Joker.
What?
So it undermines the great first movie as well.
Interesting.
That's actually hilarious.
Anyway, back to the DLC. Yeah, I get that. I think so. Where I think the DLC did well was that I enjoyed the story. I thought it provided a lot of explanation as to the things you will be seeing in the future, and especially towards the end of the game on the last mission. So I think it provided some foreshadowing and some backstory. We learn about the female drones, and I thought the characters were interesting outside of Burke, honestly. I thought the girl that you meet that's trapped in the pod, or like in the hallway,
Yeah.
that red hallway,
Yeah.
the girl that you can talk to, I thought that was really interesting, especially given the fact that you can't save her, and then you come back and she's no longer there. So it's just like, well, that sucks. But I mean, there's nothing we could do, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting and kind of like it kind of made me feel bad. I was like, well, shit. I thought the voice acting was fantastic throughout the whole game, but this section in particular, when you're walking around the prison areas and all the prisoners are just like shouting, bro, the voice acting's crazy. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was I thought that was really good. Um, and then I thought the whole, like you said, the level design is really good because it gave this common kind of ominous feeling the whole time for me because I was doing like stealth and non-lethal, especially going down that red room before you get to the elevator and stuff. That was really spooky.
Yeah, I like the elevator and like the view that you got from the elevator.
Yes,
too.
all the view outside, kind of Subnautica, Soma kind of vibes from that.
Yeah, it was very it's a very pretty mission, and I think well designed level wise.
Yep. Minus the backtracking.
Yeah, see the backtrack was honestly what just made the backtracking worse was because like you have to stop in those like little things that scan your body.
Yep. That was the big thing. The loading screens that aren't loading screens. Yep. Yeah, I also liked the actual design of the levels. So I didn't really like Rifleman's Bay as a whole. It was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But I did like the sheer amount of directions you can go and the different paths you can take to avoid being seen if you're playing like a stealthy run, which I was. There was a lot of ways you can like hop on the different shipping containers to avoid getting seen by things. And there's different like routes you can get up to the rafters and or like the cranes where they move things around. So all of that's very interesting. I thought the level design for that was great, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. Made sneaking around not feel so much of a chore.
It's funny because I didn't really do that, obviously, because I was just killing people, so
Yeah.
I didn't get that experience. But like I guess from complete opposite, I thought that the combat that they were doing, or like how they kind of made the combat in the game was good. Like, you know, for this mission, because I feel like some missions like didn't have combat very well thought out. And I think
Yeah.
I think one of the earliest, what mission was it? I think it was the FEMA mission. So right before you go down in the elevator to FEMA,
Yeah.
I got basically found out, and I basically I stuck myself into a corner, and all the enemies would just run down a single pathway, the same pathway over and over again. It was like 20 enemies. And so all I had to do was just hold the angle and just wait for them to like walk into my crosshair and just shoot them.
Yep.
But whereas I feel like for this, it was not necessarily like that because of how the level was designed. So yeah, I think it's got big ups for even like a combat kind of standpoint. Like if you went combat, it was fun.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm glad that was good as well because I definitely like the stealth aspects of it. My only complaint was there was a distinct lack of stun gun and trank darts unless you bought from Quinn.
Yeah.
So that was kind of annoying. But other than that, I thought it was very well thought out. The whole level design as a whole outside of backtracking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that was good. I thought the story was good. I thought the overall atmosphere it was creating was good. But I do agree there's a ton of flaws with this DLC.
Yeah. So, but after this DLC, you go to Singapore, and this is pretty much the beginning of the end. So this is where you find Megan. and you get to fight the boss at the end of the level. Honestly, like this, I'm really trying to remember this mission.
So you spawn in, and basically you finally can talk to Pritchard again and stuff, and he basically tells you where the scientists are, and you have to go and talk to each of the scientists and set up a. They're gonna like start an explosion, and that's gonna cause a distraction, and then you're gonna sneak further in to the the base, the ranch, whatever it's called, Omega Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can get to Megan, who's held deeper in the compound.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I remember talking to a bunch of different scientists. They were the scientists that were abducted in the first place, and they're just kind of
they were part of Megan's team.
Yeah.
I thought the level design was interesting, and there was a lot of different paths for stealth to go along in order to avoid things and not get seen and whatnot. I did think, however, towards around the middle, when you needed to get to deeper in the compound before you tell them to explode, the stealth paths got a little linear in the fact that there was only really one way in order to not get seen by a bunch of people to go. So I didn't like that. But the actual different houses or buildings themselves had a lot of different paths you could take, which was cool.
Yeah, I think there wasn't really necessarily a lot of combat. Like most of the combat was just done outside, like getting into the offices.
Yeah.
And then most of my time after that was just spent running around the offices trying to find the scientists, talking to them, and then eventually, finding Megan.
So, yeah. Let's see. I have some stuff typed up. So, yeah, I actually don't have a whole lot to say about the outside area other than what I've already said. However, once you finally get to Megan, do you get to Megan before or after you fight the boss? It's after, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we should talk about the boss first.
Yeah. So the boss, I can't remember his name, but he's like in a skin suit or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the most notable thing about the boss is so in China Part 2, you're basically your chip is malfunctioning, and you're basically like like as a side objective said like, hey, maybe you should go replace your chip. And if you do that, you basically get a debuff here until you like at the boss fight that basically messes up with your HUD, so it's harder to see and fight.
Yep. I thought that was very interesting and clever. I ended up not getting my thing fixed because Pritchard said he might do it, and I was like, Pritchard's pretty tech savvy and pretty smart. I'm just gonna wait and see what happens and see if this comes back to bite me, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that smelled fishy to me right off the bat, so I didn't
immediately.
Do it.
Yep. No, same.
I ended up doing it because of like, fuck it, what could go wrong? I found out.
Yes, we found out what could go wrong.
Um,
I thought the
Chloe,
fight
can you?
Oh, sorry. What, Joey?
Talking to Chloe.
Oh. I thought the fight itself was very interesting in a narrative and atmosphere sense. The fight itself, in terms of the actual combat, was interesting because it felt like he was pretty strong and he would go invisible, so it'd be hard to see him. But I feel like, well, with having my augments and my augmentation and everything, it kind of made it a lot easier. But I feel like the theme and stuff of the actual fight with you walking in and everybody being in the robots moving and stuff, it was really creepy. I thought they were gonna. I knew something like one of them was gonna come alive at least, but I was hoping it wasn't gonna be a whole horde of them. Thankfully, it was just the one dude.
It's basically like a human gallery.
Yes, exactly, and I thought that was really cool. I really feel like the theme and the narrative and the atmosphere really picks up in the latter half of the game, and this is another example of that. I thought it was great. I thought the fight was okay. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about the fight. I struggled a little bit because I didn't have a whole lot of health again, meds again, but other than that, I mean, I don't think I died at all. But yeah.
Yeah. I kind of had a feeling this would be like the last like quote unquote boss fight. So I was like saving, like I had the laser gun, I had a rocket launcher, grenade launcher. I just unloaded.
Fair.
It's funny because this wasn't even really a boss fight for me. So at this point in the game, I had funneled all of my upgrades into my silenced pistol, and it was like it could one shot like heavy riflemen.
Jesus.
Like with the minigun, it had so much armor piercing damage that I literally just could walk up to anybody, shoot them in the head once, and they would die.
I was upset I couldn't do the armor piercing mode. Because I think it has like a 3 mod capacity. And it wouldn't let me.
Damn.
I don't know what I had instead, but
it was.
Yeah. I also played it on the hardest difficulty, so the boss was a little bit harder than I expected, but I was more prepared and expected a boss, so I at least had good weapons. Also, you could run around and find different weapons during the fight, which is cool.
Yeah, like I said, like for me, it was literally I saw him. I took cover. I saw him like peek out. I shot him in the head 3 times and he dropped.
Wow.
And that was the whole fight. And I was just like, okay,
That's funny.
all right.
Yeah, the fight itself was pretty uneventful after that. Yeah, I mean,
again.
Yep. So with Megan, I do not care about this character.
You don't see her enough. You don't see her enough.
No, exactly. And like I get, Adam, they have the history or whatever, backstory, whatever. I don't care about her. She is suspicious to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't like her because of that.
Honestly, I thought the like quote unquote big twist would be that she was gonna be working for them intentionally.
Yeah. No, for sure.
That was the vibe I got.
I will say, again, with the whole atmosphere thing and narrative design thing, I thought when you find her in the room that is completely white and pristine.
Huge Final Fantasy reference again for that.
Oh, was it? Well, I thought it was fantastic. Great narrative and like story building and everything. I thought it was great because, everything else is kind of all fucked up on the outside and everything's whatever, but her room is completely white and pristine. And it seemed very on the nose about her, quote unquote, playing God, especially considering, because that's a big theme is that, we're playing God and like with all the augmentations and whatnot. And not only that, the fact that everything's white, the room looks like clouds, like it's like padded and stuff, which I'm sure plays or has other plays into the fact that she can't kill herself or whatever. But I thought that made it seem like it was in the clouds and whatnot. And I even noticed that the computer screen terminal was white and gray. Nothing was color in that room except for her and like I think one orange. I don't even remember what it was, but there was like one thing that was like orange and yellowy, and then she obviously herself. So I thought that was fantastic, great narrative. And,
yeah, that is actually really interesting, like visual storytelling.
Yes, that was fantastic. I like that a lot.
I did not notice it. I'm not gonna lie.
Damn.
Wow. I mean, I completely believe you that is what it is, but like, unfortunately for me at this point of the game, I was just like, I need to get her done. I need to get her done. I was kind of just getting like fatigued from, honestly, at this point, not necessarily the dialogue, but just there just being so much exposure to dialogue with like audio logs and all the.
There is a lot of that. I agree.
And unfortunately, some of that for me bled into the dialogue with other characters, and it literally just hit my Zoomer brain sometimes where I was like, I don't find this interesting. Skip.
Oh no.
That's
so sad. I thought the narrative was really good.
It's
until
like,
the end, but I'll get to that.
yeah, it's not that I thought the narrative was just bad. It's just like I said, there's just so much narrative, and this is I think there's like a lot of good ways to phrase narrative. Like Dark Souls, I'll give like two very different kind of ways.
You're very
like,
quiet. Oh, okay, there you're good.
Yeah, is so there's Dark Souls, which basically has no fucking narrative, right? There's you don't fucking learn about the game, and if you're interested about learning the story in the game, you read the items and then you piece all those things together. The very opposite end is Grand Theft Auto 5, where there's just so much narrative in the game, but all of the narrative is satire, sitcom-y, with a little sprinkle of seriousness in it, that it makes it interesting to go and like for me, it makes it interesting to engage with, because by listening to it, I'm either laughing, having fun, or like enjoying like the moment of the story.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's like I felt like if this whole game and its story was like a novel, like a 200-page novel, I would read it, but that's not necessarily like what I'm expecting from a video game sometimes, you know?
Suppose.
Like it's
I can see that.
It's like Outer Wilds. I really enjoyed Outer Wilds, even though its story is told its story is told very similarly to like Dark Souls. You know what I mean? Like through logs and stuff like that. So, but
I thought. Oh, go ahead, Tyler.
Oh, I was gonna say, this was something I wanted to bring up, since this is gonna be a long running thing. If we wanted to create a tier list of the games that we played.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Sure, eventually.
And obviously we can rearrange it as we play games, but and I'm not gonna have any input for this game, obviously, but
you might play it.
For the other games that we've played, put it on like a community voted tier list, I think, and just updating as we play games would be kind of fun. And then, a couple of years from now, we can look back and be like, oh man, yeah, those are some games we played.
That was definitely the game.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm down for that.
I am too.
One last thing about this mission. Like the whole time through the DLC, I was like nervous and worried, especially down that long red ass corridor, that there was gonna be some zombies or some shit. Little did I know, yes there was, just not quite yet.
There was
once Darrow flipped that switch.
Wait, can you say it again?
I said throughout the DLC, and especially down that red hallway in the DLC, I was really worried there was gonna be like horror aspects and like there was gonna be zombies or some shit.
Oh yeah.
And then little did I know, yes there was, but just not for another mission. Once Darrow flipped that switch.
Yeah, so we're talking about Panchaea, which is, where the fuck is that? That's like Greenland, or no? It's like this.
It's somewhere in the Arctic or Antarctic, one of those two. I think it's in the Arctic though, up north. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's one of the polar ice caps, and it's meant to be humanitarian, developed by, what's his name?
Hugh Darrow.
Yeah, it's supposed to be there for like a research institute for the improvement of augmented individuals and augments in general, I think.
Yeah, I think it also has some environmental aspects of preventing global warming and stuff.
Yeah. Which he invites you to early in the game. He's like, oh, I'd love if you could come and say it sometime. You should come to my research base. Things like the worst time to meet him.
Yeah, it was.
I knew from the start he wasn't a good dude.
Surprise.
Yeah, he was suspicious. But yeah, so at the end of the last mission, he flips he like does some teleconference at Panchaea.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Here's the time stamp for that part at the end of Singapore.
Oh, for the not having what's her face?
No, this is with Malik.
Oh, so Sean can see. Okay.
Yeah. I'm guessing if you didn't save her, you would have to gun down that room.
Probably. But as I was saying, so yeah, Hugh Darrow flips a switch and basically makes everybody in the world who got the new chip go insane. Oh wait, no, is it the new chip? I think it
Yeah.
is. It is the new chip. Okay. Basically makes everybody in the world who got the new chip go insane and start attacking everybody, basically, sort of acting like zombies in a sense. And then after that happens, it's it's a big scandal, and you then go to a rocket and fly off into Panchaea, which is in the Arctic, and that starts the next mission. So I don't know about y'all, but I liked Panchaea a lot. I really liked the mission for a like atmospheric and a narrative again, and like a setting the mood kind of situation, and being a stealth player. I thought it was good. However, I definitely see some frustration and why it would be frustrating. Because if you are a non-stealth player, I don't know if
Hello, hello, hello.
we'll save this discussion for a second. But yeah, so I really liked Panchaea in general. I thought in particular, this is the area that I have the most notes on. Um, I thought the laughs and the creepy noises in the tunnel after you first get to the Arctic was terrifying. And it was a great touch. I thought that was great. Um, and I thought like the character, like the zombies, the way they move, or not the zombies, the people that are going insane, the way they move and like the way they talk and the stuff they say. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was a great mission and a great level. I also liked being able to find Taggart and Seraph in this mission. Um, and being able to hear their side of like what they want you to do in order at the very end of the game. I thought that was cool, and the music is fantastic in this mission too. Music was awesome.
Yeah, I think uh, with this mission, I died so fucking much.
You hated it?
I just died. I just died. Not
Oh
that
yeah, no, 100%.
It's funny because I kept dying in that hallway, like the very beginning hallway, um, where it's like all electrocuted.
Oh, that's so funny. I remember us talking about this. That's so funny.
I'll have to go
I
back.
did not have that issue at all.
I literally can't remember why I kept dying. But right, it was like a movement thing, so I couldn't jump over like a little box or something like that. Um, and so it would cause me to just land in the electricity, and I couldn't get out of it in time, and I would just get absolutely melted, and that was it. So I died there a bunch,
Yeah.
and then I don't know why they did this, but the zombies stun locking you was, was such a fucking bad. I don't know if I would say it's a bad choice, but one zombie should not be able to stun lock you indefinitely.
Yeah.
I,
And sorry, one sec. It doesn't help that there's so many zombies. So the only part of the actual mission itself that I found frustrating as a stealth player was the very, very end before you go down into the final boss area. That long, just hallway of zombies. Well, basically zombies. And because it was really difficult to run by them as a stealth character and a non lethal character, you kind of just had to cloak and sprint and eat a bunch of patrol, like of the jelly and stuff. Um, so I thought that part was really frustrating, but I really liked sneaking around all the zombies and avoiding them and whatnot, and finding all the characters, the two different factions of Seraph and Taggart in their like respective rooms, all trapped and stuff. I also thought the voice acting by Taggart in particular in this mission was fantastic, really good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So it was pretty much, yeah, after you pass the debate check, yeah, you go find or you're basically tasked to go destroy the place or some shit like that.
Yep.
Um,
yeah, you're tasked with going down and destroying. Oh God, what was it? The signal that's basically
yeah, it's causing everyone to freak the fuck out.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's when we learn that the little like the drones, the female drones that we saw in the previous in the DLC is what is they're required to essentially run the actual operation of Panchaea. Otherwise, I believe it's the stress from the pressure is too much, and it ends up like cracking and exploding, and the whole thing goes down.
Yeah. I don't think there's much about this mission because it's just kind of like wrapping up. I don't think there's the one boss fight at the end, but
I have a bunch of notes about that actually.
If you want to talk about it, because I think getting up into that point, you're just trying to find out the different factions, and when you talk to them, you unlock their ending that you can choose.
Yep, you find out Taggart's part of the Illuminati, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So I hated the last boss. I thought it was the worst boss fight by far. Opening the pods, like having to run around the room and opening the pods to stop the small drones, the female drones from and like you shoot them or incapacitate them or what have you, to make them to like open the shield to. So Zhao is the one that runs in there and tries to control the machine, which name I am forgetting. But yeah, she runs in and thinks she's strong enough to control the machine, but she isn't. So that backfires. So you have to open the shields by killing or incapacitating the female drones around the room, all while other insane like people are coming out and like attacking you and whatnot. And I thought that was really cool, and I thought that was really well done. And having to avoid the people going insane, like attacking you while you're trying to run around and avoid the drones that are shooting that rotate in a circle. I thought that was cool. However, the last phase of that boss is terrible. You can just cheese it. You just stand on a ledge. You don't get shocked by anything. The drones that roll around, you just throw an EMP grenade at them and they die. And then after that's done, you just go over and like blow up the shield and it's over. So the last phase of that boss, I'm sure like the idea was okay, trying to avoid the electricity and whatnot, but it was so easily cheesed, and I thought it wasn't good.
Yeah, I think I don't think it was a well done boss fight, mostly because of visual cues. Like I know Nick and I were talking about this where it was not clear how you damage the boss after you disable everything.
That's true. I agree with that. I was very confused.
So Nick and I were just sitting there, like we would walk up right next to the glass, and we just like unload bullets into the bulletproof glass because we were like, how the fuck do we kill this boss? Like,
no, yeah, same. I'd like shot rockets at it or whatever.
Every other boss that we've fought, we've killed with bullets. How is this one different? Kind of thing, right?
Yep.
And at least tell us, somewhere that like that it's not done the same way. I honestly I didn't think it was like that bad. I think I had a couple of chances, but yeah, cheesing it was definitely funny.
Yep.
But yeah, like after you kill her, you get to end the game.
Yep. That's true. And so the end of the game. So I liked the overall story up until all of this. I liked Oh, we never even talked about how you find Darrow inside Panchaea, and you basically talk him down and convince him not to, or like to give you the code in order to be able to stop all of this.
Yeah, because he's unable to get any augmentations himself. So he's been developing augmentations, but I think he's a limp. He has a limp that he can't.
Something, yeah. There's some sort of
I
issue,
think
and he's not
he
able
developed
to do it.
he developed the first augmentations.
Yeah, the first round,
But
and
he
then
can
it got
never use
improved and bettered by everybody else. So his whole the four different there's four different possible endings. You have Seraph's ending, which is to blame humanity first, in order for everything happening, and in order to not have augmentations get massively regulated. So there's more advancement in corporate, nonsense, whatever. We continue to advance.
Yeah.
There is Taggart's ending, which is preached as the regulated technology ending, but with him being in the Illuminati, we all kind of know that's probably going to be a crock of shit anyway.
Yeah.
We have Darrow's ending, which is the ending where essentially we put all the information out there for everybody to see. They know exactly what happened at Panchaea. They know everything, essentially. We put it all out there. And then we have the last ending, which is the blow up the station ending.
Yep.
Which the blow up the station ending, we basically we do exactly that. We press the self-destruct button and we kill everybody inside Panchaea, literally everybody, including ourselves. And that's so the reason why I hate this ending in particular is because it's touted as the let the people decide ending. They decide what whether or not we should have augments in the future or not, and without the influence of Darrow or Seraph or Taggart or even Adam himself. That is what it is touted as. But the problem is Darrow's ending is just that, but better, because the problem with the blow up the station ending is that it destroys all of the evidence. Everybody is dead. Nothing is actually out there into the world that actually tells people what happened and all of the potential risks and downsides to all of this. We basically just bury the evidence. How is this the let the people decide ending? It makes no sense. Darrow's ending is actually that, because you give it to everybody, you let the people decide. It's touted as the quote unquote keeping us in the dark ages ending, but that doesn't make sense to me at all, because you're giving all of the information to everybody, and it's like nukes, where once it's out of the bag, there's no once the genie's out of the bottle, there's no putting it back in, right? Because augments are already out there, people are going to want them, and the technology's already out there. Just like with nukes, once it's out there, there's no stopping it, right? So give everybody the facts, give everybody the information, and let them decide, rather than bury it by destroying Panchaea. It makes no sense. Not only that, but it leaves the Illuminati, who knows everything about what already happened, still out there and available, because there's more than just there's more than just Taggart and Zhao who are part of the Illuminati. There's a whole bunch of people that we see at the very beginning of the game. That ending fucking sucks. I hate it. It's so annoying.
Yeah, this kind of ending, I should say this style of ending reminds me of, I think, Mass Effect 3, where it was like, it doesn't matter your actions up until this point, because you get to choose. You just get to choose, right? You push a button and you get a blue ending, a red ending, or a green ending, kind of thing, which is not necessarily the same. But I don't generally like games that have it like this, because it feels like, for as much kind of like story elements.
We're referencing the big old Mass Effect in 2024, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I didn't think the Mass Effect 3 ending was all that bad, but that's a topic for another day.
I think what was it? So it's like you have this game leading up to where it's kind of emphasizing choices matter on your first playthrough, right? Like if you let the hostages die, then there's special dialogue that happens, right? If you let Zeke go, there's special dialogue happens, and he appears multiple times afterwards, right? So it's very evident that your choices do have consequences, and I think for me, when I see something like that, and then I'm given basically like a choice of what ending I would prefer, it kind of rubs me the wrong way, right? Like, and it's so much that I kind of like wish that they just scrapped all of these kind of endings themselves and just wrote something that fit like how you played the game, right? And like was like, okay, so were you so bloodthirsty? Maybe we have just like a singular ending that changes depending on how you were doing. Where you're a really nice augmented guy that helped everyone out and did everything is good. Hey, maybe augmentation people aren't so bad, and maybe we should really think about no regulation of its stuff. Hey, were you like a fucking cyber psycho killing everybody? Maybe you should really rethink about how augmentations are used by the public and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that's
yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
It's like that is kind of what I assumed the let's let the public decide would end up being, but because it doesn't directly state it, it's just like all right, well, what? Okay, I'm gonna go play through this again. Yeah, sounds good.
So you want to know what makes these endings worse?
What
is the fact that at the start of the set? What'd you say, Chandler?
None of them matter.
Yes, exactly. None of them are actually canon, and all of them are canon.
That's
so at the beginning of the second game, Adam never even makes it to Panchaea. He gets pulled out of the waters of the Arctic, and he never even sets foot on the whole thing. None of this matters.
they retconned it? They retconned it? Oh my god.
None of it matters.
Hell no.
It was just a dream.
So Seraph is alive and Taggart is alive, but Panchaea does explode. And all of these riots and stuff are still happening. So that is all like, so it's a mix of there's no actual canon ending and everything is canon.
That's fucking hilarious.
It's the worst. It's so frustrating because I really like the story and everything, and the narrative design and everything is so. I really like the atmosphere and what they're building to the whole time. I thought that was fantastic. But then the endings themselves are just so frustrating, and they don't matter. And it's just. I also feel like they're a bit backwards in what they actually end up meaning, namely with the Darrow and the blow up ending. But so that's frustrating. That was really
Omega Law.
I genuinely think that if because I don't know, I didn't really hear about this game like 13 years ago, but I wonder if this was a rushed development because it's like if you think what
it was a game that was in development for a long time, so I'm sure they were running out of like resources and wanted it done.
Because to me, like just having those kind of like button endings, which I'm going to coin that term, button endings, when you just choose your ending, just reeks of like we didn't have enough time to properly implement our vision of how we wanted it to end. So this was unfortunately the option that we had to go with to focus on other parts of the game to make that experience better.
The only type of multiple ending type games endings I like are ones where there is an actual true ending. Because I feel like having an actual true ending and not one of these it's whatever you decide is important.
Yeah. I agree. I mean,
or in this case, it doesn't matter what you decide.
I mean, if you think about it, also gonna talk about Dark Souls again. Dark Souls 1 had a couple different endings, right? You could link the fire or you could leave, right? That was the two main endings.
Yep.
And I feel like those two endings are very appropriate for the game that you built.
Yeah.
Right, and the dialogue that you receive through the game. Like if you don't look into any of the dialogue or stuff like that, then you're probably going to link the fire. But if you look into a lot of the dialogue and kind of like how the Dark Souls theme is just recursion and reoccurring stuff, like kind of all that stuff, then you would just choose to walk away.
Yep.
And it's funny because those two endings are just like probably 30-second cutscenes, and I think it does way better than the fucking like you get a fucking monologue from Jensen.
So I actually really like those monologues because I thought it was very thought provoking. I liked that because I don't know if y'all went ahead and did each different one, but I went ahead and watched each different endings monologue, and I thought they were all very interesting and brought up good or very thoughtful points. So I like those actually. I liked that part of the endings. I like the monologues personally.
Fair enough. All right. Any final thoughts? We still have to talk about combat and stealth, or really just combat.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Chandler?
No.
All right. Now we can finally talk about combat, stealth, and upgrades, which probably won't take us too long. I mean, looking at my notes, stories was, we talked about map design a lot.
We did. I thought the map design. So I think map design goes hand in hand with the stealth aspects of this game. I thought, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's do stealth first. Let's do stealth, and so in stealth I have enemy AI, hacking, map design, creativity, and just kind of other thing.
So the AI, I mean, it wasn't great, but I tend to give them a little bit of a pass due to the age of the game. I don't know about you, but that's just me.
For me, so I had two different things about AI. Is sometimes they would literally just fucking snipe me. It was
true. Yeah, that's frustrating.
My thing with AI is just inconsistencies, which is something I never want to see in a stealth game. Like when I see an encounter, I want to know what to reasonably expect from it and how my enemies are going to respond to what I do and how their AI is going to play out, right? Yeah. And I'm going to, now that we're kind of at this junction, is that Metal Gear Solid 5 was released 4 years later than this, right? So 2015. When was actually the beta released? Because that was out for a while. I actually don't know. So anyway, so I know Metal Gear Solid MGS5 has like 4 years on this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just all in all, Metal Gear Solid has such good stealth elements into it, and it is quite literally the complete opposite of this game. Where I honestly think this game's stealth played out very poorly, but the story was good. Whereas Metal Gear Solid 5, the stealth was absolutely incredible and one of the best stealth games. I don't even like stealth games. Like it's easily one of the best stealth games I've ever played, but the fucking story was god awful. Like I don't want to fucking
That's interesting. I think so. I agree that there are very frustrating aspects with the stealth, and namely the fact that that you can just get seen from the middle of nowhere, and that is a very well known and well documented frustration with the stealth in this game. I think the stealth is well done in almost entirely because the level design and the different things you can do with the stealth was like when they made the levels and they made the game, that the stealth was in mind. It wasn't an afterthought. They actively thought about it and they made different paths you could take, and everything like that. And I thought that gave a lot of avenues for because you know the meme where it's like games in the past and it's like a bunch of different directions and stuff that paths you can take, and it all leads back to one point at the end. And it's like games nowadays, and it's like a straight hallway basically.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So it felt like more of the former. There was a lot of different ways you can go, a lot of different things you can see, and a lot of different like things you can uncover. And they encourage it. They encourage exploration and discovering these things by giving you the XP whenever you find a hidden path, right? So I think that itself is what makes this, to me, the stealth good. But I do agree the inconsistencies with the AI, the lack of actual weapon variety.
Weapon variety was so bad.
Yeah, I think that was a big, especially for a non-lethal playthrough. I used the stun gun and the tranquilizer dart the whole game. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So I thought that because you get a couple more options with the crossbow and the silenced weapons and stuff. So that's fine. But
you're telling me you weren't a fan of all the machine pistols that existed in this game?
Jesus, dude.
No.
What always drove me up a wall is that machine pistols didn't use pistol ammo. You know what I mean? They're fucking two different.
Oh yeah. So I think those aspects of this game is what makes it a good stealth game. But I do agree that there are core issues with the stealth in the AI and maybe some of the lack of variety in the weapons. But I do think it makes up for it leaps and bounds in the level design and the creativity you can do.
Yeah, I'll jump to creativity, but I mean, I'm gonna have to compare this game to another game that I don't like, which is Dishonored. So Dishonored,
really? I like Dishonored.
Was listen, man, I just don't like stealth games. I just don't like stealth games. That's really what it comes down to. So Dishonored, and I dislike Dishonored for separate reasons. I guess the TLDR is when you kill people in Dishonored, you spawn rats. The rats directly make the game harder, so I feel like I'm being punished for a playstyle that I would like to do. But so Dishonored released like a year later in 2012, and I feel like all of the stealth elements and the freedom of play and the creativity, level design, everything is just on such a better scale of this game, right? Because you have like the freedom of movement, you have teleportation, you have like all the like the assassinations, you have the crossbows, you have your like little power-ups that you can use to help you like kind of navigate the map and traverse it. And I think what the point is I'm going to come down to is you see some fucking crazy clips of people balling out on Dishonored doing like some crazy stealth shit, but you never see that in Deus Ex. And this game released a year later. So it's not necessarily that I'm saying that the stealth in Deus Ex is bad. I'm just saying that it's been done better by other games. And
that's a great point, actually.
That's true.
And it's not that like every game has to reach this standard, but when I think about what makes a stealth game great, I think Metal Gear Solid 5. I think Dishonored. Like I think those. I mean, obviously these games released later, so they didn't have that fucking like thing to look at. Like didn't have the example to look at. But
that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I agree. I definitely feel like this game almost seems more dated than those other examples.
It definitely shows its age because I mean,
yes.
I think it was like 2007 is when they first started working on this game.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
If this game released before Skyrim, it would have been fine. I'm not gonna lie, because if you think about the Skyrim Stealth Archer playthrough, it's basically like the same fucking like broken kind of like AI, right? Like, oh, what's that? Just must have been the wind kind of bullshit, right? And if that had if this game was released earlier than Skyrim, I think then it would have been it would just been fine.
The fact that it started work in 2007 makes a lot of sense, because I think if there wasn't such issues with funding and like it being bounced around to multiple different different studios, and it released maybe 2008 or something, which I think is actually around the time in which Oblivion released.
Which, once again, you're not really looking at Oblivion as like a Hallmark stealth game. I mean, stealth archer game.
No, yeah, I know. I'm more so just I'm thinking 2006. I'm more so just thinking about the fact comparing it to like how it plays in general.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, this game feels a little clunky, and that makes sense if it started development in 2007 and probably got a lot of it done by like 2000, well, quote unquote, a lot by 2008 in terms of like the engine and whatnot. So it makes a lot more sense that it feels so much more dated than Dishonored and Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But I do agree that those are better stealth games, and I see your point. But I also, it makes more sense because it got started so much later.
Yeah.
But it ended up releasing when it did, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it's hard to like, you can't just like overhaul the engine at that point, right?
No,
So.
no, which is why like it's like this game being in development for 4 years was 2 years too many, honestly. But anyway, so I think that kind of covers like what I like on stealth. We kind of touched on combat variety, and it's funny because on combat I have weapon variety. There's too few non-lethal weapons because that is.
God, yeah, dude.
It's so fucking.
There's like the PAPs as well, but that thing is so fake. I never used it.
Yeah.
I was about to say, how was it?
It didn't knock people out unless you got it upgraded, so basically useless, honestly.
I also feel like you find it way too late.
You can get it in the police station early on, but yeah, you have to like hack into it and shit. But also, most people that are going to be doing non-lethal are going to be doing stealth as well.
Yeah.
So, not enough options there for sure. That was frustrating.
No, yeah, and I can only imagine if it's a 20-hour game, fucking using the same 2 weapons is I would like to.
It was it was frustrating. That's maybe why I enjoyed all of the aspects that I did so much more with the narrative and the like actual design of the game, because I couldn't enjoy the weapon variety and shit.
Yeah. Like to me, it's like it's not even that hard to make non-lethal. Like I literally, like off the top of my dome, just make an electric, like stun rifle or something like that uses like
You are in high school.
not like electricity, but like some sort of like energy ammo, and charges up and can ricochet when you upgrade it. It can like ricochet between multiple enemies, and that can make stealth a little bit easier when you have multiple enemies kind of conglomerating together, right? There you go.
Yep.
I was surprised there was no melee weapons.
Yeah, that's I mean, you have your hand, and I guess that's kind of the point.
Man.
No like baton or anything like that.
Yeah, the whole even that though, Kyle, like you need your battery charges to do any of that.
That is true. There's definitely a lot of aspect. This really does feel like a mid 2000s game.
Oh yeah, like
it
like
really
that's
does.
when I thought this game came out until I looked it up because it felt
makes
just
a lot
that
of
dated.
sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Like I'm saying, it's a 2000. It released. It was 4 years in development and needed to release 2 years earlier. But I mean, like I said, there's nothing that like that the developers can do about the game being bounced around studios. That's like, it is what it is kind of thing, you know. One issue that I had with combat is because when I was Chandler and I were both doing combat playthroughs, so I was ending up dumping a bunch of upgrades into my pistol, just a starting pistol, and it became like a fucking beast, right? I kind of talked about that a little earlier. But getting ammo for those weapons started getting really, really difficult, because the later you get in the game, enemies are using like heavy rifles.
Mm-hmm.
They're using all these guns that I can no longer adequately upgrade, so I can't really use them as they are standard, even though I have 300 rounds for them. So I kind of wish that the stores or something like that just had surplus of ammo, or just had infinite amounts of ammo that you could buy, because it's not like ammo capacity is going to be a difficulty check. You know, that's like Resident Evil. Like ammo capacity and how much ammo you have contributes to the difficulty, but this game's difficulty doesn't necessarily come down to that, right? So that's
makes sense. Yeah, I can't speak too much on the actual combat because I didn't do a whole lot of it.
Yeah, And it's funny because there's an achievement for upgrading a gun all the way. I was dumping every upgrade I could into my pistol, and I still didn't get that achievement. I think I was
Yeah,
like
I'm
3
pretty sure
upgrades
that's
off.
bugged because I got mine, and Nick also had the same issue in that he didn't get his, I believe.
Oh,
So I'm pretty sure that achievement's just bugged.
Classic.
Classic bugged achievement.
But like going like forward is like there's different enemies, and I kind of liked how the enemies were done. You know, there you have like a low, medium, heavy kind of set out with their weapons and armor.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was honestly I thought it was fine. Like that's kind of what you expect from games like this is just kind of that scaling difficulty.
Yep. No, I agree. I thought the enemy variety was pretty nice, honestly.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it for combat and stealth. I think the only thing I have left to talk about is just the fucking hacking. But I think I already talked about that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it got stale pretty quickly. I thought it was a neat idea at first, but yeah, it got stale.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
particularly frustrating at the beginning because it felt like I just really needed nukes and stop worms,
Mhm.
but then at the end it was like I didn't need them at all.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Yeah,
exactly
I think
where it went for me
I
too.
think if they implemented what Sean recommended, with like a way to like, if you have like rank 5 hack, then anything lower than like 2 or lower, you can just like auto hack pretty much.
Yep, no, I agree. I think that would make it a lot less frustrating.
Yeah.
Also, a funny like haha thing I noticed is if a hacking thing was like related to the main mission, it would be security rank 1.
Yep.
That's funny and makes a ton of sense.
Mm-hmm. Like, oh, we have to make it available for the people
Kind
that
of
didn't put
decent
points into
dev
hacking.
hindsight, but yeah, kind of like shoehorns the mechanic in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Oh, something that I actually wrote down here, which kind of surprisingly it didn't do, was I said something creative that could have been the ability to remote hack into enemies. We see the lore implications in the game already that makes them into zombies. So I'm surprised if they had if that kind of enemy AI already. Like that'd be like an interesting way instead of if you were to knock somebody out, if you had high enough hacking, you could just hack their biochip instead, and then you could turn them into.
I wonder if
like
that's a thing in the next game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That or honestly, that screams they had to cut it due to timing.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
that seems like an easy implement, or like a no-brainer kind of thing.
Yeah, like the like they have the idea. The idea is there. They just need to, they've
Yeah,
already
they even
put
had the idea in the first mission.
Yeah. They just had to put it. They just had to give us access to it. Which I mean, like I said, I don't fucking develop games. I don't really know what goes on. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Is final thoughts? Any?
I thought I liked it overall. Very frustrating issues, like Nick said. The age showed quite a bit. Once Chandler mentioned the fact that it started in 2007, that honestly just makes so much sense.
Quote
I
me
like
on
the
the year,
story.
but yeah.
Well, yeah, I like the story a lot. I thought the endings kind of ruined the story a bit, though, so that was annoying. I thought it was very thought provoking. In general, it seemed very like it leaned on like philosophy quite a bit. I like the stealth. Wish there was more combat or like more variety.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, I just posted in Discord. Looks like we have all of our ratings up.
Except Alex, but yeah.
So Nick gives it a 7.5. I mean, Nick gives it a 7.5. Kyle, you gave it an 8.5, which is fair. I know you like the stealth games. Like I said, you've had a lot of positive things about it. I think your major gripes were just the ending of the game and the tools of which you could be stealthy.
Yep.
Weren't really there. I gave it a 6 because I'm fucking extremely critical of all media for some fucking reason. I don't know why. But mostly because, like I said, like if I think of stealth games, I think of games that have unfortunately have done it better, and the story is okay, but not good enough to save it from its gameplay. But I mean, Tyler did not finish DNF, and Chandler gave it an 8.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So what is this? We're waiting on Alex, but let's see actually.
It's gonna be kind of hard to get an overall because Tyler didn't play it, but he played the other two.
We'll
But
play it
yeah.
eventually. XD.
Yeah, just get an average for this game minus obviously mine.
Yep. So yeah, I mean we gotta wait for
Yes.
Alex to respond.
Yeah,
But,
current.
yeah.
I mean,
But let's take a temp check between the four of us here. Like, what would y'all put as number one of the 3 games we played? Don't be shy.
I mean, it would be between Hi-Fi Rush and Deus Ex for me because I did not like Outer Wilds.
Okay.
I would say Outer Wilds is my first, honestly.
Chandler?
Based off his rating, it would probably be Outer Wilds because he gave it an 8.5. He gave Hi-Fi Rush a 7.5 and Deus Ex an 8. I'd probably say. What's that?
I said Hi-Fi Rush was my favorite of the 3, but obviously of the 3 of the 2.
Yeah, right.
Well,
I would probably say Deus Ex because I liked the story and the atmosphere as much as I did. Even though I gave Hi-Fi Rush the highest rating.
So we probably need like Nick and Alex's opinion to like form a
around it.
like a consensus tier list, but not the. This does not reflect all of our opinions.
It is the average.
This is just the the average rating of everyone's.
So then what is, so we're doing S, A, B, C, D, F?
Seems like Nick and I seem to be more aligned, and Chandler and Sean seem to be more aligned. Because Nick and I both gave Outer Wilds a pretty low 7. I gave it a 7. I'm still debating bumping it down a little bit because I really didn't enjoy it all that much. It felt like a chore, honestly.
No, yeah, no, I totally get that.
And then Nick and I liked Hi-Fi. Tyler and I liked Hi-Fi Rush the most. Chandler thought it was decent. Sean did not really like it all that much, comparatively. And then, actually, I guess Chandler liked Deus Ex.
I thought Sean liked it. Sean did the post game with me.
He gave it a 6, so.
Well, that's true.
Let me see. I have my review set up.
I guess Nick and I are more in line, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Alex says.
Oh, here we go. Ending thoughts and post main game. So I gave the post main game is a 7 out of 10 because I thought the post main game was awesome. Or not awesome. I thought the post main game was good. However, my first playthrough of the game was easily like a 5. And then I had something else here. It says 6.5. So I gave it a 6.5. Not a bad game. It was just for me, Hi-Fi Rush was just like I needed that Unga Bunga mode ASAP.
Yeah.
That was the first fucking thing I needed in the game. I just wish that you could replay like the encounters that you have already done in chapters on the arcade machine. Just
That's
like
yeah,
like that was it. Like if you beat an encounter, you unlock it in the story machine.
Hello, I heard my name a couple times. I was giving kids medicine.
Sean, give me. Actually, do I have access? Oh, of course I do. Never mind. I'm gonna make a tab in the gamer club that just has the ratings.
Oh, good idea.
The template, the actual sheet itself.
Did someone ask me something?
we were just talking about like tier lists in general.
Oh, okay.
And where we would rank the 3 games that we played thus far.
Good.
And it seems that of the 3 games that, well, we don't have a consensus at all.
Nope.
Surprisingly.
Which I mean, I guess that's the point of the whole thing.
Yeah. Because in my opinion, Hi-Fi is the best game we've played so far.
It's a reasonable opinion. Absolutely.
But
People love that game. We just ended up not liking it quite as much for some
Every
reason.
game's a good game for someone.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I am. If you've ever seen a look at my anime ratings, I'm extremely critical of all media. Apparently,
Yes.
I literally just don't know how.
wait, wait, link your MLA right now.
MAO.
Hold on. What's our? It's Google Sheets. That's what it's on.
Mm-hmm.
Let me log in. Actually, let me stop this recording.